All right. Oh, here we are. Howdy, howdy. Welcome. Hope everybody's having a good day, so that I can live vicariously through you. How am I? I'm okay. Are you a legit doctor? I'm not a physician, if that's what you're asking. I have a PhD, which is a doctorate. So hopefully that answers your question. What's today? Today is the 3rd? Okay. Morning, morning. Oh, is it Good Friday? What day is Good Friday? Oh, it's today. Okay. All right. Well, then the Catholics should be out in force. I guess all Christians celebrate Good Friday, right? Actually, do they celebrate it? Because this is like Good Friday is when when Jesus got, you know, teed, right? So I'm just thinking, like, why would you celebrate that? All right, let's bring up a guest.
Morning.
Hey, Lost Cat Daddy, how's it going?
It's going okay. How about yourself?
Been better, but I'm doing okay. Lost Cat Daddy, do you believe in God?
I believe in a creator.
Okay. Does this creator, did it create like the universe and all of reality, or did it just like create our planet, or what's the deal there?
As far as I know, yes, everything known to man.
Okay. So why should I believe in such a thing?
You believe in science?
Yeah.
And scientists create things? Or
Sure,
discover
sometimes.
things?
It can be both.
So do you follow into simulation theory, or
No, I
where,
think
where do
that
you go with
I think that there's not really any evidence supporting that.
that? Okay. So then what about quantum theory?
What about it?
Are you buying into that? Like, do
Yeah,
you
sure.
lean in that way?
I mean,
That goes.
quantum physics is really well understood and really well supported by experimental evidence.
Where is it going to end up?
I don't know what that question means.
Well, we had, as far as physics go, we had atoms and neutrons, protons, electrons, and then
Mm-hmm.
we had to explain how that works. And that's right. That's, from my understanding, that's where quantum theory comes in.
I mean, it's a little bit broader than that and a little bit deeper than that, but sure.
A little bit broader.
Yeah, quantum theory describes
Like,
more than
oh,
just atoms and things like that. It describes, I mean, in principle, it describes everything.
okay. And then, so where do you go from there? Is that it? Have we learned everything then?
No, I didn't make that claim. I don't know. Like, it's,
Well, when someone says it explains everything, quantum theory, right?
yeah.
That would be, well, we know everything now. We've
Well, not really.
discovered.
So, like, quantum physics is like a framework. It's like a way of doing physics, a way of describing things. But the specific details of how those things are described, there's still unknowns there.
Unknowns, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't someone assume that there is a creator to the unknown?
I mean, you can assume that if you want. It's just that it doesn't sound like there's a very good reason to do so.
Because randomness works better.
Who said anything about randomness?
Well, how do you get here, right? How do you get to the point where we're thinking and observing and creating science, scientific methods, and like we're here.
Yeah, we are here.
So how did we get here?
I mean, there's a whole biological story that involves evolution. There's a whole astrophysical story that involves the origins of planets and stars. There's a whole cosmological story that involves, the origin of large-scale structure in our universe and like the origins of our universe from a very small, dense state. All of those stories seem to account for the things that we need to account for in order to answer how did we get here. I'm not sure what else you're asking for.
Okay, well, I mean, we're explaining without the beginning and the end. Then we're kind of like falling in the middle, and we're saying, "Oh, okay," just to make it simpler. Like the seed goes into the ground, and then the plant comes out of the seed, right? Like there's water added, there's nutrients, there's a whole, but then no one explains how the seed got there.
So, right? Are you trying to ask why is there something rather than nothing?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Okay, I could ask you the same question. Why is there something rather than nothing?
Because it was created.
Well, no. The thing doing the creating is part of something. So why is there a creator at all rather than just nothing whatsoever?
You're saying that the thing that created is part of the creation?
No, I'm saying that something, like the thing that did the creation in your view, is a kind of something, right?
Yes.
So then why is there something rather than nothing? Why isn't there just nothing at all? Why is there a creator to begin with?
Because there needs to be.
Why? And couldn't I just say the same thing? There needs to be something. And so, there had so because there needs to be something, there was a universe.
Just the universe, though. But like, is there nothing past the universe? We talk about dimensions and, like there's a like life is a Mandelbrot set, right?
I don't know what that means, but look, my view is that like there are questions that we don't know the answer to, like why is there something rather than nothing? But it seems like neither you nor I know the answer to it. It doesn't seem like.
I can't say.
So
I can't say that I could give you definitive evidence. No, I absolutely can't.
So then it seems like we're in the same boat here. It doesn't seem like your explanation that there's some sort of creator better explains why there's something rather than nothing. So it doesn't seem like it without evidence for the creator. It doesn't seem like your creator explains the unexplained better than the naturalistic view. So why assume that there is a creator to begin with?
Why assume?
Yeah, that's what you said. You said you said why can't you assume that there is a creator?
I think it's more of it's more of a comfort to know.
How does it comfort you that there's just some being that created everything? How does that help?
It helps. It helps me because I see, like, my species that do a lot of negative things, and they're things that I can't change.
But what does that have to do with the creator? The creator is only needed there to create, to start things off. The creator doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what humans do.
Well, that we can understand. I mean.
Oh, well, so now it sounds like you're invoking that there is, not only is there a creator, that creator intervenes. That creator controls and affects.
Or its creation was so good that it doesn't need fixing.
Lost Cat Daddy, do you think that Jesus rose from the dead?
I have no idea.
Okay. Because it sounds like what you're referring to is not just a creator simpliciter, if you will, but rather a god. Because you're not just referring to a thing that created the universe. You're referring to a thing that created the universe that has interests and desires and a will and has a goal that involves us and all of these things.
Well, no, I'm saying that the creation was good from the beginning.
Why? Why do you think that?
Thinks it can, because it's perpetual.
Which part?
All of it. Right? Everything that we have studied is perpetual. Life is perpetual. It keeps going on. It never ends.
I mean, you
can say that a species will end.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Life doesn't end.
Well, I mean, it's just strange to say that everything is perpetual, because there are definitely things that are not perpetual. Like, for example, your life is not perpetual, right? Your life started and it will end eventually. The Earth is not perpetual. It began to exist 4.5 billion-ish years ago, and it will cease to exist in another 5 billion years or so. These are things that are not perpetual.
Well, but there are other planets that will go on besides just this one.
Okay, but that's not the Earth.
Just like if my life ended, I'm sure other people's will continue.
Right, but you said that everything is perpetual.
Right, like all of existence that we know of is going to go on. Even if the human species ceases to exist, there will be other things that go on. So
then not everything is perpetual. Also, even if everything was perpetual, how do you go from the universe being, or everything being perpetual, to good?
Well, how do you describe everything?
That doesn't seem like it addresses my question.
No. I wasn't trying to. I was trying to address your previous statement. Like, when I say that everything goes on, like the life is perpetual, meaning life as in its entirety in the universe.
I mean, like, there was a period of time where there was no life in the universe, right?
How do you know that?
Because the conditions were not amenable to life existing.
You were around then, and you.
No, but we have science that we can use to evaluate the conditions of that time.
Even then, they're educated guesses at best.
No, I mean, unless you think educated guesses are like the best models of physics that we have access to. But like, do you think that life can exist when the temperature is, a trillion degrees Kelvin or a trillion degrees Celsius?
I mean, as far as I know, it can't. But that doesn't mean that there's not some extenuating circumstances that would allow it.
Well, then what do you mean by life?
All things. Like, life is what we're experiencing right now, right?
Are rocks life?
It's part of.
I don't think that rocks are part of life. What?
You don't walk on one?
I don't walk on a rock? Well, if by a rock you mean Earth, sure, but Earth is not alive.
It's got living stuff growing on it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that it is alive itself.
By your definition of life.
Look, words have meanings. I don't know what else you're trying to get at.
They have intent behind them too. All I'm saying is that, like, life could be the universe itself, right?
I mean, if you redefine the word life, then sure, but that's just not what people mean when they say that word.
Some people, I would guess, sure.
Biologists, people who study life,
and
they don't mean that.
People who other people have given tickets to, they've studied subjects. It doesn't mean that they are all-knowing.
No,
it doesn't mean that the knowledge.
Those are the people that we should listen. Those are the people that we should listen to, because they're most likely to be correct about what life is, about how life behaves, etc.
In most cases, but I know you're aware of black swan events, right?
Sure, that doesn't change the good epistemology, though.
Well, I mean, it shows that they're flawed. Like that no matter how many scientists you group together, they can all come to a conclusion that's wrong. Yeah,
and it doesn't mean that you should think that they're wrong just because there's a small probability that they are.
Yeah, this is not an attack on anyone. This is not like.
Well, no, it's just bad epistemology, right?
Bad?
Yeah, it is an incorrect way. It is an incorrect way, or is it? It is an not incorrect's the wrong word. It is a non-optimal way of obtaining truth about the world.
By understanding that scientists can make mistakes.
No,
Because I would argue
by
that
not
would
believing what biologists say about life, you are more likely to be wrong about the world than you are to be right about the world.
Okay, so you do you know who Robert Sapolsky is?
No idea who that is, but it doesn't seem like it's going to address what I said.
Stanford professor. He did a class on biological behavior.
Okay. Is that going to address what I said?
Repeat what you said.
Not believing what biologists have to say about the way life behaves, what life is, etc., is more likely to lead you to be incorrect about the way of the world than it is to lead you to be correct.
Okay, that's a fair statement. I would say being skeptical is healthy.
A healthy level of skepticism is healthy, but skepticism about things that you are not an expert in, about things that you are not well informed in, is not healthy.
Okay, that's a fair statement.
This is all to say, it sounded like you wanted to say that Earth is life. Biologists disagree, so the prudent thing to do would be to believe the biologists.
Well, I mean, my statement really was the universe is life, and we live in it.
So what's the definition of life that you're working with here?
All things that we are witnessing.
So you're just redefining life to be everything?
It's my understanding of it. I'm not redefining it for anybody. I'm sure there's things that you have a name for that might not be used from somebody else, correct? And I know you're going to get on a computer. And...
I was just making sure that I was using a word correctly. So there's two types of ways that you can describe or define something. There are intensive definitions and extensive definitions. Sorry, let me make sure that I think I'm using the words incorrectly. There's a word that I can't think of. Anyway, I'll just describe what I mean because I can't think of what the words are. So there's two different ways that you can define something, or that you can describe something. One way is you can define something by just all of the things that belong in that category. So you could say that you could say that Ferraris are just a list of different kinds of cars. You could say that the thing that it is to be a Ferrari is to be one of these kinds of cars, right? You're either this car or that car or that car or that car or whatever. There's a different way that you can, and that's one way that you can define something or describe a category.
Slang.
Another way, no, not slang. Another way that you can describe a category or define a category is by assigning properties and say that anything that has these properties falls into that category. So this would be like saying, my siblings are those people who share at least a quarter of their DNA with me. So then you just go look at all the people and you would say, those people that have a quarter of their DNA with me, those are the people that are my siblings. And we don't have to just list their names. We can just give a set of properties. Intentional and extensional. Thank you. That was the right word. Intentional versus extensional. And so what I'm getting at is you're providing the former. You're just saying life is, and then you're just providing a list of all of the things that includes life. You're saying it's everything. Whereas when I'm asking for what you mean by the word life, I'm asking for some set of properties, some set of intentional definition, like an intentional definition with an S, rather than an extensional definition within also with an S. Extensional being you provide a list of the things, and intentional being you provide the set of properties that describe the things that fall into that category. So could you give me an intentional definition of life? What does it mean for something to be alive?
Well, okay, so you just said alive instead of life.
Yeah, so alive is the adjectival form of the noun life. We say that something is a life if it is alive. Those two things are essentially equivalent.
Maybe it would be better if you gave me a definition of atheist.
Someone who does not believe in a god.
So that doesn't exclude a creator.
Well, I mean, if the creator that you're describing is a god, which we've established that the creator that you believe in is a god, then yeah, it does rule that out.
Okay, because I have met and seen on TikTok people that are atheists that believe in simulation theory.
Sure.
So, like they believe in simulation theory, which I never, like, okay, if it's a simulation, then there is a creator.
Yeah, it's just that creator is not a god.
It's outside of the parameters of what we consider existence, universe. I don't know, where are you right now? What is your understanding of...
I think that the simulation is poppycock. I think it's very silly, and I think that atheists who believe in the simulation model, I think that they are not particularly well informed on the matter. But that's neither here nor there. You're not talking to them.
Yeah, that's not what I was asking. I was asking,
okay,
where are you personally? You're on a planet that you call Earth.
Yep.
You have scientific beliefs that there's a universe.
Mm-hmm.
Are there dimensions to the universe, or
our universe is four-dimensional?
Expansion, like it's what,
our universe is four-dimensional. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And it's just perpetually expanding from a single point of nothing?
No, that's not my claim.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. That was a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so my claim is that it is currently expanding. It's been expanding for about 13.8 billion years. I don't know what it was doing before that. I'm not making any definitive claims about what it was doing before that, if there even was a before that. I'm not making any claims about definitively what will happen in the future.
Okay, so neutral.
The word, yeah, sure.
Okay, so then why would you believe there's not a creator if you're neutral
because
in that aspect?
Nobody's given me a good reason to believe that it's true.
You have seen no evidence,
yeah,
personally, right?
Yeah. I've also seen pretty compelling evidence that a creator of the kind that you're describing is probably impossible.
I mean, by human standards, like, yeah, we don't, stuff that we create doesn't last very long.
I don't see what that has to,
right?
It's not really this, it's not really the reasoning that I'm using here.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, I've just heard arguments that suggest that such a being can't exist or does not exist that are pretty compelling to me.
Such as?
For example, we have very strong inductive reason to think that anytime you have a mind, it's always attached to a physical body. If you have a creator, if you have a creator being that is the creator of all of physical reality with a mind, i.e. it's capable of having intentions, then it cannot be attached to a physical body. Therefore, you would have a mind not attached to a physical body. We have good evidence to think that no such things exist, so we have good evidence to think that a creator doesn't exist.
So that's interesting, because when I think of like Homo sapien, and even going back to any upright walking bipedal creature, right? Like, in the amount of time that the universe has existed, that as far as science says, like if you were to draw it on a linear graph, like what would be would you even be able to see the line that these upright bipedal hominoids walked, right? Like,
I don't understand the question, and I don't understand what it's related to.
In other words, we are very, 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 very tiny compared to the universe.
Okay, that's fine. We still have inductive evidence that minds are attached to bodies.
Here, right? Like,
yeah, that is inductive evidence. Yeah. Every mind we've ever seen has always been glued or always been attached to a body of some kind. Therefore, we have reason to think that all minds are attached to bodies.
And that is an ant saying, well, I moved too much dirt and it created earthquakes, right? Like the ant compared to the size of the earth, the ant doesn't have the space or knowledge in comparison to the size of the earth.
But I'm not sure how that's addressing the inductive claim here. Look, the way that we do induction is that we collect evidence and we use that to inform our position. So we've collected tons of evidence on minds. You know, every single time you talk with somebody, you're collecting evidence that a mind exists, and every piece of evidence you collect about minds points to the claim, or supports the claim that minds are attached to bodies. So you have to you should probably provide counterexamples or perhaps alternative pieces of data that support the alternative that minds don't have to be attached to bodies.
Well, how many minds have you talked to that weren't attached to a human body?
Exactly 0.
Right. So there are other minds on the planet.
I mean, that's debatable. I don't need to have talked with something in order.
If I use the word brain, would that be more accurate?
Sure, but we're not talking about brains. We're talking about minds.
Okay.
I don't need to be able to talk with something in order for me to establish that that thing has a mind. For example, I can pretty easily ascertain that dolphins have minds, that elephants have minds, even if I can't talk to them.
Okay, what's the difference between a mind and a brain?
A mind is the collection of mental states. I mean, personally, I would say that a mind is just something that emerges from brains. But in order to think that such a creator being exists that you believe in, you have to believe that there exists a way to have a mind without having a brain.
I mean, it would be a guess. It would definitely be a guess, because right now we're here. We're limited in the scope of our observation. Right, we haven't even lived on another planet as a species. We haven't traveled anywhere within the places that we can see.
This seems confused. Like, look, the critique here is that if it's the case that minds are always attached to bodies in one form or another, some kind of body, some kind of physical stuff that the mind is attached to. So you have mental states, you have things like memories and wills and desires. Those are only present when there's a physical body present that those mental states are attached to. Then you can't have a creator that didn't already consist that didn't already include physical stuff that pre-existed, or the physical stuff that existed simultaneously with the creator, right? Like, if it's the case that in order to have a mind, you have to have a physical body, then it can't be that there is a non-physical creator that created physical reality.
Okay, that's true.
And so my point is that all of our experience, all of the data that we have, points to minds always require a physical body.
Right, but it doesn't say how that physical body has to exist, like what that physical body is.
Well, made of matter would be a good start, right?
Sure.
And so if
is this a true statement then?
Sure, go ahead.
Because I don't understand, it must not exist.
Is that a true statement? No.
Yeah. Okay.
Who said anything like that?
Well, I mean,
I'm making an inductive argument. An inductive argument is you have some hypothesis, and then you go out and examine the world, and you look to see whether or not your hypothesis is supported by the data or whether it's contradicted by the data. And the hypothesis here is that minds always require physical bodies. Then we go out and we look in the world, and we find that every mind that we see is attached to a physical body. And so this is data in support of that hypothesis, that you can't have a mind without a physical body.
How many religious people are in the world?
5 billion, something like that. 6 billion, maybe.
Yeah. And that's
depends on what you count as religious. It's evidence that people believe it. It's evidence that people believe in God. It's not evidence that there is a God.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, that's an interesting separation. I mean, I would also consider that to be evidence that there is. You know, if somebody saw something, just because I didn't see it, I can't say, well, they believe they saw it.
Sure you can.
I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be my best effort. I would be dismissing what somebody else's information that somebody else has.
Look, the point, saying that somebody believes something is not saying that the thing that they believe in is false. It's just a weaker statement. So the point is that people can believe things that are true, but they can also believe things that are false. So the fact that there are lots of religious people only indicates that there are lots of people who believe that there is a God. It's not indicative that there actually is a God. There could be other explanations, and in fact, we can come up with those explanations pretty easily, for why they believe in a God despite a God not existing. For example, most people in the world don't think about this particularly deeply. They are raised by people who already believe, and they just assume that it's true, because when we're children, we are very, very easily, I don't want to say the word indoctrinated, but we're very, very easily convinced that what our parents are saying is true. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of introspection to establish or to determine whether or not that thing is true, and most people just don't do that. So if it's the case that the previous generation was filled with believers, then it's expected that the next generation would be filled with believers, even if the belief was false.
Okay.
So there are alternative explanations, which are perhaps just as plausible, perhaps even more plausible, for why so many people believe, even if the belief isn't true.
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. I don't think that this ever could be settled. Like I said, life as Mandelbrot said, you said you didn't understand that. I meant only that the closer you look, the more questions you'll have. Especially because if you look at science, we're always that way. It seems to be our nature, or some people's nature, not all people's nature. And so, like, this is something that is probably going to be a discussion for the remainder existence of Homo sapien, Homo sapiens sapien, whatever you consider yourself. It's interesting to listen to people, and I wouldn't dismiss people's beliefs simply because I don't believe it myself or have not seen evidence. This is just my opinion.
So then what reason would you have to ever dismiss somebody's belief?
To ever dismiss?
Yeah. Could you give me another reason why you would dismiss somebody's belief, if not because you haven't seen evidence for it or because you don't believe it yourself?
Yeah, it would be that the type or amount of evidence just doesn't align with what I have experienced myself.
Yeah, so that's why I dismissed the theistic claim.
Right. Yeah, no, I understand that. Like I said, I'm not attacking anybody, and I think if you remember, my original statement was I believe that there is a creator. Like, I'm not sure, I can't bring evidence to you about it, but when I look at everything and try to make sense, I say there absolutely has to be. It's amazing that there is good and bad, that there's light and dark, and it's amazing that we're here to witness both.
Okay.
That's pretty neat.
Well, Lost Cat Daddy, I appreciate you being here. I'm gonna let you go, but thank you for being here, man.
You have a good day.
Take care. Now, there's somebody in the guest box who has been talking shit. So let's bring up Stretch, because they think I lost that debate. So let's see what they have to say. See if they can defend their worldview. Stretch, how's it going?
Yeah, you got clobbered that debate.
Okay, on what point?
On all points.
Can you name one specifically?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay. Well, do you know what the word specifically means?
Yes.
Okay, so can you name one specifically?
Yes, all of them.
Okay, so it seems like you're getting bodied just at the definition level. You're not even understanding enough to have a conversation here.
Specifically, you got beaten all the points.
Okay, so that's not. Can you name one specific
He
point,
scolded
please?
you. You got smacked down
Okay.
in your own life.
Sure. I'm sure that that's what happened.
You just blowing from stupid.
Exactly what happened.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have so you don't have anything specific? Do you believe in God? Do you actually want to have a conversation or no?
I've debated you before. You know, you
Oh, we
always
have?
shift the. Yes, you always shift the goalpost. You know, like.
Did I? Can you give an example?
When we debated before, you just shift the goalpost. You like.
Can you
will
give an
have,
example?
Like, I'll nail you down to some terminology.
Can you give an
and then
example?
we'll change the definition of that terminology to.
Can you
fit
give an
your,
example?
Like, atheist ideology and.
Can you give an example?
It's pointless to debate you. You know, you just.
Can you give an example?
The goalpost.
Can you give an example?
Yes. What's your explanation of who created the universe?
I don't think that there was a who.
Okay. What created the universe?
I don't think that the universe was created.
That it just always existed.
I think that it either always existed, as in there was always a past, you can always go a day before, or there was some geometric preconditions that are in some sense geometrically prior to the universe. I'm pretty agnostic on whether it's on which of those two it is.
And what formulates your belief for that?
What formulates my belief? Or do you mean what informs my belief? Like why I hold those positions?
Well, whatever question you can possibly answer, you know, like formulates, informed, whatever terminology that you want to actually get an end state to answer the question, you can, you can substitute whatever word you want in there. Because
so the reason I hold that belief,
substitute words in the future to like change your argument.
So the reason why
we can do that right now.
The reason why I hold that belief, that it's one of those two things, is that one of those two options seem, or both of those options seem to be well supported by the physics we have access to. It doesn't seem like there are any additional options that are supported by the physics we have access to. And so, you know, as I restrict my views to those things that we understand to be physically possible, I'm going to restrict my views to those options that are physically possible.
Is a God physically possible?
Seemingly not.
And why not?
Because a God would kind of, by definition, have to go on top of, it would have to supersede the laws of physics. But the laws of physics, or rather, those things that are physically possible are those things that obey the laws of physics.
So you think a God is confined by laws?
No, that's not what I said. In fact, okay. That's the opposite of what I said. A God, by definition, is not confined by the laws of physics. Hence, it is not physically possible.
Yeah. So but you gave physical definitions for like creation and things like that.
I don't think I gave any definitions for creation.
Physics and you mentioned physics. You know.
Yeah,
like,
I did mention physics. You're right.
Right. Has science ever been wrong?
I don't know what you mean by science being wrong. Do you mean scientists?
Generally, has there ever been?
Do you mean have scientists been wrong? Scientists have been wrong, absolutely.
Yeah.
If by it, science is like a methodology, or like it's a collection of pieces of knowledge about the world. Scientists have been wrong about things.
Yeah. Have you ever been wrong?
Sure.
Yeah.
Has religion ever been wrong? Or has faith ever been wrong?
Which one?
Any?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Which one do you think's been wrong more often? The scientific body of knowledge, or the collection of all religious beliefs that have ever been believed?
Of all religious beliefs or all scientific beliefs?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm comparing the collection of all scientific claims that were ever made, or I shouldn't say claims, all scientifically accepted facts. I'm putting facts in air quotes, so these are things that the scientific community believed were true, or the collection of all faith traditions. Which one's been wrong more often?
I probably equally wrong.
You think so?
Does quantity matter on right or wrong?
I mean, perhaps not. But if we have two different modes of coming to truth about the world, or trying to find truth about the world, and one of those modes is by far less likely to be correct because it's wrong far more often, then it seems like that we should avoid that mode.
Yeah.
Just in the interest of being right more frequently.
Except for one model can explain everything, and one model you can even explain how, like, the creation came into existence.
Oh, which model can explain everything?
The creation model.
Oh,
that there's a creation.
What's the explanation for why creation is this way?
The beginning of Genesis.
No, I'm sorry. What's the explanation for why the universe is this way?
Genesis.
That doesn't explain why. It just explains what.
That explains why. Read it.
No, it doesn't. It does not explain why. Why did God create animals on the 6th day rather than on the 5th day?
Yeah. Well, let's explain. So, you want to use like terminologies and words and things like that.
I do want to use terminology and words. Hold on, so, look, you were the one who brought up the word explanation. You said that one model provides an explanation.
When God created the universe.
I don't think that you're addressing my question. Maybe try listening instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. My question is why, i.e., what is the explanation for why, say, God created land animals on the 6th day rather than on the 5th day?
Because that's what's God's choice.
Okay, so why did he choose that?
Because he's God.
That doesn't seem like it's an explanation. It doesn't actually explain why he did it this way.
Because you want to confine God into your scientific model principles when he transcends that.
We're not talking about science at all. I'm just asking for an explanation.
Like, he was existent before language even existed.
I don't think you're understanding. You know that my mic is way louder than yours, right? So look, I'm just asking for an explanation. This isn't about science. You said that one model provides an explanation to all of this. But then when I ask you what the explanation is for why God created land animals on the 6th day rather than the 5th day, well, you just said because he's God, but that's not an explanation.
Correct.
What an explanation does is it accounts for the difference between the two scenarios. It gives a reason to believe that one scenario is the outcome rather than the other. But just saying because he's God, we're not talking about science at all here. We're just talking about how we talk about explanation.
My God isn't confined by language or time or
we're not talking about any of that. We're not talking about any of that, my guy. All we're talking about is the nature of explanation. And so it seems like if you can't actually provide an explanation as to why it is that God made the land animals on the 6th day rather than the 5th day, then it seems like your model doesn't provide any more explanation than mine does.
Okay, thanks for agreeing with me that you can't explain it, that your model falls short and that you lost the debate.
So our models are equally well.
You got smacked down.
Our models equally fail to explain why there's something rather than nothing. I'm glad we agree.
You're trying to limit what the explanations is. You're trying to limit what God's power is.
This is crazy because you got spawn killed. You couldn't even give me an example of a time when I was wrong about something in the previous conversation. Also, my mic is way louder than yours, so talking over me is not particularly useful for you.
Down.
Clearly, yeah. This was like a spawn kill. Like I was just spawn camping at this point.
You got schooled.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to try a different conversation? So that way then maybe we can, to use the gaming analogy, we can try a different map so you don't just keep getting spawn killed, or do you want to try something else?
Body without a mind.
Want to call it over again? Body without a mind.
No imagination. You can't fathom. An omnipresent being that can transcend time and science.
Omnipresent? Does that mean that
and being the beginning and the end at the same time? So
Stretch.
You just can't fathom that.
Stretch, you're saying that God is omnipresent?
Mindless
Stretch,
body,
Stretch, are you saying that God is omnipresent?
What are you saying? Yeah, did I say it? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so are you telling me that that God is watching from the cuck chair every single time somebody has sex?
What is your absurd question?
Yeah, is God sitting in the cuck chair every single time somebody has sex in a hotel?
That's your notion of God. I mean, are you just trying to embarrass yourself?
Well, you said that God's everywhere.
That what? Are you like confessing a porn addiction or some like fantasy?
Look, you
like,
said that God's everywhere. I didn't say that.
Question like that's what you think a God does. It's just
He's everywhere, isn't he?
Sex.
Isn't he everywhere?
What you've learned in your
Stretch?
Your
is he everywhere?
Program?
Is he everywhere or no?
I'd return it and get a refund.
Stretch, is he there or not?
Yeah,
I thought he was everywhere.
I get a refund on your degree.
Oh, Stretch, you're embarrassed by your answer now? Now that you've admitted that God is everywhere, that implies that God is in the cuck chair? Hold on, we got this. We'll syllogize this for you.
In a hotel room and trying to explain like a God.
Don't worry, we can syllogize this for you. P1, God is everywhere.
God,
P2,
I mean, what's on your really
as
on
a
your
part
mind?
of everywhere, or
go talk to your
the
therapist.
cuck chair. Sorry, one sec.
Guest on your live about your like problems.
Here we go. So God is everywhere. P2, the cuck chair is a subset of everywhere. Conclusion, God is in the cuck chair. Which premise do you disagree with?
You need to talk to a therapist about your problems, not some random like person on TikTok.
Which premise do you disagree with?
Everything that you say and your identity.
Would you say that God? So you agree with P1? God is everywhere, right? You agree with premise 1?
It's embarrassing.
So it seems like if you want to reject the conclusion, it seems like you have to reject the second premise that the cuck chair is a subset of everywhere. So would you say that the cuck chair is nowhere?
I'd say you need to talk to a therapist about your problem.
It seems like you're having a really hard time engaging with this valid and sound syllogism. So maybe just take the L on this one.
I can't because you defeated yourself in this one.
Indeed, that's what's happened.
You do, when you try to have a legitimate debate and then your mind's in some hotel room of people having like sex with each other.
Look, I've already spawn killed you. Like from the very get-go when you came up, you were already got spawn killed. So now I'm just making fun of you.
Like you dug yourself like a 6-foot hole, and now that
that's definitely what's happening here.
Now 12 feet deep. How embarrassing.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
At least I don't believe in a God who watches from the cuck chair.
A mindless body. That's what you are.
Yep, that's me. Mindless body. At least I'm not a God that's watching from the cuck chair. Thanks for being here, Stretch. Oh, what a day. Sometimes you just got to get your blood pumping, right? In my notes, I'm writing Stretch, and then I write the beginning and end for the name. I write the beginning timestamp, the end timestamp, their name, and then I also wrote here cuck chair Lamau. Anyway, let's read some super chats, and we'll bring up our next guest. Actually, let's drink some water really quick. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, Sapolsky's a neuropsychologist. If I had to guess, Guest's intent was to draw a connection between his clinical depression and his belief that human behavior is deterministic and his atheism. Gross. Oh, well, good thing I didn't know who he was. From Jackson Nollerhead. No, sorry, Jackson Ollerhead with the 14 Canuck bucks. Glad your surgery went well. Question. What do you think of the phrase, we are the universe experiencing itself? I think it's beautiful, but would love an opinion from a scientist. I mean, we're not the universe. What we could say is that we're part of the universe experiencing itself, but hard to say otherwise. From Sean with the $10, if you're worried that the universe expanding makes God smaller, think of it this way. Your God is expanding too. Now you don't have any excuse to deny science. Good point. Yeah, you should believe in the Big Bang because it makes your God bigger. True. And from Mika Makapo with the £2, a typical Dr. Blitz trick, using words and things. Yeah, you got me. Sometimes I use words. It's a very devious trick. And from Morgumi with the $2. Sorry you got smacked down, Blitz. I know. I feel so bad. I got smacked down so hard. And from Juso here with the €2. Guest wears their shoes in the wrong feet. It's such a simple but funny insult. All right, let's bring up our next guest. Okay. Who's up next? Bring up Jesus Warrior. Jesus Warrior, how's it going?
Good, good. How is it going, you?
I'm doing okay. Jesus Warrior, have we spoken before? I feel like we may have.
A lot of time I trash you down, bro. You know that.
The other time you what?
Every time I come up on your panel, I trash you down and you kick me.
Oh, okay. Is that what happens? Do you know when we spoke last? How long ago it was?
Yeah, the last time we spoke was when you and Justin were ganging up. You remember?
No. Was it on my live stream? Okay, so the last time I spoke with you on my live stream was on January 19th.
Yeah.
But I don't see. And then also on November 14th, I guess we spoke. So I guess it's been long enough that it seems reasonable that we can talk. So right, Jesus Warrior, you believe in God?
Yes.
Okay. And which God is that?
The creator of heaven and earth.
And does that God I don't know, does that God exist in space or?
Well, he's outside of space, time, and matter.
Would you say that God is knows everything?
Yeah.
Okay. And would you say that God has justification for its knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is that God's justification for its knowledge?
What is that God justification for his knowledge?
Yeah.
You live on a earth that maintains you with every single thing, right?
Sorry, one more time?
You live on an earth that maintains you with every single thing, from your youth to your old age. So there must be
the earth maintains me? I feel like I maintain myself for a lot of it. I feel like the earth is kind of a passive participant.
Okay, hold on. Where did you get the thing to eat and survive?
From the store.
Yeah, from the store. Where does it come from? From the earth of, right?
I mean, some of it comes directly from the earth. Some of it comes from animals, and those animals. I mean, sure. I mean, in some sense, all of the energy that we consume comes directly from the sun. But that doesn't seem like it's answering my question, which was, how does God justify his knowledge?
By who obeys his laws and keeps his commandment, he give them wisdom.
I'm not sure that you know what I mean by justify. Do you know what I mean by justify?
You said justify his knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So I'm giving you things that could justify. If you just use your brain and think for a bit, you will understand that it's all happening through God.
I'm asking how so look, this is an internal critique. So I'm asking God has knowledge. Knowledge requires justification. So I'm asking, what is the justification that God has to have the knowledge that he has?
Well, I don't know that. You should ask him personally. What I know is what I see. It's
a good start. We don't know. Okay, cool.
Okay, so hold on. Let me ask you a question.
Would you say that God is divinely simple?
Hold up. Can I ask you a question?
I suppose you can.
On your post said I'm an atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever scribble the word of the atheist and see what you get?
Did I ever scribble the word atheist and see what I get? I don't understand the question. I've written the word atheist before, yeah.
Yeah, but you ever swing it around and see what type of word you could make with the atheist?
You mean like rearrange the letters?
Yeah.
I have not.
So you should do that, because for me, the word atheist means eat shit. So do some research on what you claim. It is, because if you take the E,
that's
the
cute.
A, the T.
Do you have like an argument, or do you just have like cute wordplay?
No, it's not cute. It's just to show you what you're holding to.
I mean, it is cute. It is cute wordplay because that's like only a thing that applies in English, but it is funny.
Yeah, but to hold on the word atheist and it means eat shit, what really you're holding to then?
Well, I mean, theist means to shit, so that's like the same. It seems like it's just as silly. You're holding to shit.
I'm not holding to nothing. I'm showing your confusion.
I mean, you're a theist, right?
What do you observe more? God's nature works or scientists?
So I don't observe God's nature anywhere. I don't think that God is real. So do you think that God is divinely simple?
Nope.
Okay, so you believe that God has parts?
What do you mean parts?
Yeah, God has independent components that are not the same as each other.
God is a spirit. He doesn't have ink or what? Where did you get that?
You're a Christian, right? You're a Christian, right? Because divine simplicity is Christian doctrine. It depends on the kind of Christian that you are, of course, but this is Christian doctrine.
Bro,
I can define it for you if you want, if you're struggling to understand it. But the divine simplicity is a doctrine that God is not composed of any physical or metaphysical parts, meaning that God's attributes like love or power or knowledge are identical to his essence and to each other. Do you believe this or not?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so divine simplicity is the doctrine, it's a Christian doctrine in particular, that God is not composed of any physical or metaphysical parts. And what that means is that the attributes that we attribute to God, things like love and power and wisdom and knowledge, these are all identical to God entirely, and they're identical to each other. This means that God doesn't have goodness, that God is goodness. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you believe that God is divinely simple in that regard?
Nah, he's not that. He's not simple.
Okay,
you can't
then question.
understand God's work.
Then question. With respect to what is God good?
What do you mean in respect to what is God? God is always good. He gave you
So did God just decide what is good? Or is God is God the kind of being that always obeys that which is externally good?
Yes.
That was an either or question, not a yes or no question.
Bro, God is good. You have a planet you live on. But
yeah,
you
okay.
just want to
Are you familiar with the Euthyphro dilemma?
Listen,
Probably not.
Hold up.
There's no way he knows the Euthyphro dilemma. Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. You're not going to answer the question, but sure.
You listen, you believe in scientists, right? Do you know a million times they have lied to you?
Okay, yeah, sure, 100%, sure. You're just going to dodge. So are you going to address the question about the Euthyphro dilemma or no?
You're running now, right? Yeah.
No, I'm not running. I'm just not letting you pivot.
Whole life to you,
I'm just not letting you pivot.
Listen, it's not pivot. Come on,
it is pivot. I asked you a question, Jesus Warrior.
Scientist, hold on.
I'm sorry, I gotta mute you. So, Jesus Warrior, I asked you a question about the nature of God's goodness. I asked you a question about the nature of God's goodness, and then you just randomly brought up that scientists lie to people. So, like that's definitionally a pivot.
You see?
So, do you want to address the question, or do you just want to act in bad faith?
Bro, I asked you something.
I asked you something before that. And then you just completely changed the topic.
Bro, who changed the topic? I asked you something.
You did just now. Now. I asked you something before that, and then you changed the topic by asking an unrelated question.
Because you're using your 2-point brain to figure out God's plan. Open up to him, he will give you knowledge.
So do you want to answer the question that I asked?
No, let's answer my question.
Oh, so you're just going to refuse to answer my question?
No, because you're running from the fact.
What fact am I running from? I asked you a question. How am I running from a fact if I ask you a question?
Bro, what is your question? Let me hear it again.
My question does God do the good because the good exists independently of God, or does God decide the good? That anything that God does is good just by fiat.
He does the good, bro, because he's only of goodness. He doesn't do bad things.
Okay, so good exists separately from God.
Nope, it doesn't. It's within God's thought.
Okay, so goodness is within God. So God just decides what's good?
He knows what is good. We have to decide what is good.
So he knows what's good? So he knows that there is some external goodness that he is always matching?
What? You can't match God. God is the highest rank of all. Or you can match.
I didn't say anything about us matching anything.
You're using your brain again, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry for using my brain. I forgot. If I want to be a Christian, I need to stop using my brain. Got it.
Bro, I think Revelation 3:16 talks about you, bro.
Revelation 3. Okay, so does this require not using my brain, or?
No, it requires you to be hot or cold. Either way to stay in God's mouth. If you're not that, he will spit you out, and he has done that with you.
Okay. But to be clear, you want me to not use my brain?
No, it's not said I don't want you to not use your brain. The thing is,
so I should use my brain.
Comprehend. Yeah, you could help use your brain, but not use your brain to outsmart that you know better than God. That's stupid.
Oh, it's stupid to use your brain to come to true conclusions about the world around us? Because it seems like that's what you mean when you say outsmart God.
Bro, I'm trying to show you with your tiny brain, don't compare it to God's own.
I don't think God has. Wait, do you think that God has a brain?
Bro, in whose shape are you made, bro?
My parents.
Whose image are you made?
My parents.
Oh, so who is your parents' image made in?
Their parents.
Okay, trace back to the second two person. Whose image are the two person made in?
Their parents.
Come on, bro. Stop. The two person that God made that create the whole population.
I don't think God made two people. The fact that you think that God made two people initially just shows how inbred you are.
Whoa, so you totally throw away Adam as your father. And
no, I don't have any ancestors named Adam as far as I can tell.
People, you see this is what I'm telling you people like this you gotta be careful of.
Yeah, you got to be careful of people who use their brain and evaluate evidence objectively.
This is a mental issue.
It's a Mensa issue, perhaps, but it's definitely not a mental issue.
Bro, listen, your mama came from Adam and Eve.
No, my mom came from two people named Jack and Lynn.
Yeah, and their mama came from who?
Well, I could go look up their ancestry, but that would probably go pretty far to dox me.
Bro, trace back to the two person that God made.
There weren't two original people.
Yeah, I know what you believe in, the Big Bang, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear your thoughts on the Big Bang. So, what created the firmament? Did the Big Bang create the firmament?
There is no firmament.
Oh, so why did SpaceX rocket hit the firmament and explode?
They didn't. Bro. It didn't. That never happened.
Bro, go look. Why are you lying here? You're sitting here just lying, bro. Why?
You think I'm lying, but you believe in the flat Earth? That's hilarious.
I'm not believing in the flat Earth. I know it is flat.
Yep.
You can't make me think
this is what you have to look forward to if you take the Christianity seriously as described in the Bible, by the way.
Yeah, I know you believe in the Big Bang, but you can't explain how the Big Bang made a firmament. Come on.
There is no firmament. That's made up. It's a farce.
So
it's a lie.
Hold on. What was Hillary Clinton trying to crack? What was Hillary Clinton trying to crack, my brother?
The glass ceiling. It's a metaphor for women's inability to progress in society to match men.
It's a metaphor.
It's literally a metaphor, yeah.
So what happened to SpaceX rocket when it hit the firmament and exploded?
This is rough. Yeah, this is so rough.
You can make your boring sound. So you think they went to the moon? April Fool's Day?
Well, they didn't. They're not at the moon yet, but they will be in a few days.
They'll never be on the roof because the moon is not a physical place.
Just keep denying your lying eyes. Keep denying what your lying eyes say.
Bro, listen. We had enough of your bullshit. You can't explain how the Big Bang created the firmament, but you're
Well,
here
that's
talking
because there
trash.
isn't a firmament. It's just not a real thing. You've been lied
Just
to.
say there was never a Big Bang. Just say there was never a Big Bang.
There was a Big Bang. There was a Big Bang. That's the facts.
There's not. There's not.
Yeah. But I can understand that you wouldn't think so because you were chastising me for using my brain earlier.
You can't explain why the firmament.
The firmament is
You can't
made
explain.
up. It's a myth.
Really?
It's a lie.
It's made up. So everyone, I want you to go to YouTube, look at SpaceX rocket hitting the firmament. Everyone on the panel, do that.
Yeah, go do
And come
that.
back and tell
Everybody
this
go do that.
fool what's happening.
Everybody go do that, and then recognize that what you're seeing is you're seeing Max Q.
Yeah. So, what you're seeing? What you're seeing?
It's called Max Q.
No, it's not no Max. That's the thing. Scientists are lying like you, Dr. Blitz.
Science is a
You're sitting
liar.
here lying.
Science lies, and definitely religious people, religious leaders have never lied before.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, you got crushed.
Yep, I got crushed. That's me.
Yeah, you got crushed. Listen.
Yep,
I'll bet you,
definitely I got crushed.
The next time you go live, there will be only 300 people in your life because you're a liar.
Every single time I get more and more people. Jesus Warrior, thank you for the free content.
Yeah, you
have
buy
a good
the
one.
Views, buy the views.
Why would I buy the views when this is like 30% of my income? Right? Like, why would I buy views when the way that I make money, at least one of the ways that I make money, is with the views? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. All right, let's read some super chats and we'll bring on our next guest. From Soupy Dude with the $5, here's a $5 for you, Doc. I appreciate that. Thank you, Soupy Dude. From Deep Burrito with the $10, we are not stardust, we are nuclear waste. Well, okay. Some of the human body is like, is just primordial, meaning that it just comes from the Big Bang. The hydrogen in our body, overwhelming majority of it comes from the Big Bang. The rest of it is nuclear waste, though. Yeah, you're right. From Morgumi with the $5. I'm joking about the SmackDown, by the way. He just kept saying it. No, I know. I can read between the lines. From Alexis with the €2. What happened to your nose, handsome sir? So I had surgery a week and a half ago or so, and as part of that surgery, I couldn't eat for basically my bowels were like not moving. They were like basically paralyzed for a few days after the surgery. So they basically have to put a tube in through my nose down to my stomach to suck out all of the stomach juices so that I don't like throw up. And they have to tape it to my nose. And this is the leftover residue from ripping my skin off when they removed the tape. From Martin Steinhauer, thank you for the 5 Dr. Blitz Debunks gift memberships. I appreciate that. It's very, very much appreciated. Now 5 people have access to my debate notes, which are what I use, what I refer to when I'm having conversations with people. And I need to pull up a source or a piece of evidence or a paper or an argument or a counter argument. This is where I store all the things that I use. Now, of course, most of these things I have stored in my head, but I kind of put my new ideas into the debate notes so that I can have them written down. And then as I use them more and more, they become kind of ingrained in the arguments that I think of. So I don't refer to it on the regular, but the arguments that I make are often found in there because that's where they originated from. I put them in there, right? Yeah, it's called an NG tube. Very unpleasant. From House 70 with the $10, simple color doesn't understand question, gets angry and derails completely. Rinse and repeat. Yep, that was what happened with Jesus Warrior. 100% agree. From Wrong Server with the $2, talk about Pascal's wager, please. Pascal's wager assumes that you've already narrowed it down to atheism or theism. To either atheism or Christianity. That's what Pascal's wager assumes. I don't grant that those are the only 2 reasonable options. From Kopeka, official with the $5, it's wild that Christians won't hesitate to try and insult you in the name of their God. They completely negate their own beliefs with their actions. Yes, so one of the best arguments against Christianity is just that you would expect Christians to be the most well-behaved people in society, but often they're not. Right? From Curbs with the $10, is God always good? He actively chose to create a universe with suffering. He chose to create hell and then create people whom he knows will burn forever or for eternity. What a weak and stupid God. Yeah. So they might say that there's free will, and free will is a greater good than the evils associated with eternal suffering. They might say that this is the best possible outcome. There's a few different responses that they might offer. From Mormon Guy, or sorry, from Momo Guypan with the $100. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's very, very generous. You hold a PhD in physics. I watched your enthusiasm describing black holes. You know there's still much to be understood and discovered in your field. Why so bent on deconstructing religions, especially to laymen? So there's kind of two things. One, I generally think that, especially the kinds of people that I engage with regularly here, the kind of things that they believe are destructive to the world that we live in. They're destructive to society. Like extremist evangelicals, extremist Eastern Orthodox, extremists of the religious variety generally, extremists in general, are destructive, and they make for a worse world. And so, like, I view extremists about Christianity, like extremist evangelicals, for example, in the same boat that I view young earth creationists, that I view flat earthers. These people need to be embarrassed, made fun of, so that they don't continue to proselytize their beliefs, because that hurts the world, that hurts the society that we live in. At least that's my view. Also, I'm an argumentative person. I grew up arguing all the time, like recreationally with my brother. And so in my view, it's fun. It's fun to do this. It's fun to, I'm not an athletic person. It's fun to exercise my mental muscles, to come up with new arguments, to analyze new arguments. And so I get, I get some joy out of this. But thank you for the donation, Momo. I appreciate it. There's kind of like two branches of the social media stuff I do. On the one hand, which is most of my income, I do, I do debunking videos, and I do just straight up explainers, because those, I get joy out of educating people, right? On the other hand, I also get joy out of making people who are spreading lies look dumb. So, you can see the appeal there for me, at least. From Larislav with $5, he has too much hatred inside as for a religious person. Indeed. Jesus Warrior was rough. From the Rabid Squirrel Sage with the $2, all hail the emissary of the lava lamp. Indeed, all hail. I feel like that this is the thing, because it's like lava lamp shaped. From Man of Culture with the $2, do you come from a Jewish family? I do. From Fuzzy Navel with the $5, so glad the surgery was a success. You are appreciated. The majority of your interlocutors are mentally ill. Also, happy Pesach. Sing Dayenu. I'm not going to sing Dayenu for you, but happy Pesach to you if you're Jewish. I haven't been able to eat, really, so I haven't been partaking in any Pesach things. The majority of my interlocutors are mentally ill in some regard, but that would mean that, like, the people who hold the extremist evangelical beliefs, that all of those people are mentally ill, and I don't think that that's like a valid classification. From Miko Makapo with the £2, I hate all this words and thinking. Hey, well, let's not make fun of people's accents, okay? No, we can do that, especially if they're British. And from Empiricist with the $2, half these calls are warm-ups, not exercise. That's true. I would like if somebody came up that actually had like a good argument, or was able to, adequately engage with the points that I'm bringing up, but it doesn't happen often. All right, let's talk to, I think next up in our list, Tom Wilson has been waiting for a long time. So let's bring up Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson, how's it going?
Hello? Oh yeah, hold on. We good?
Yeah, we're good. Tom.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, how's it going? I'm
doing okay. Tom, do you believe in a God?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Which one would that be? Just so then I don't want to make any bad assumptions or wrong assumptions about you.
Well, actually, I kind of want to go into one of the super chats that talks about Pascal's wager. First off, we agree on a lot of what you said. I'm not incredibly religious either, but Pascal's wager is an argument that I find tough to interact with on a day-to-day basis.
But just to be clear, so you do believe in a God? Is it like generically like Western, like a Western conception of God?
I will believe in whatever God gives me a positive expected value on the belief.
Okay. What
So
about
any
gods
God
that give, what about gods that give you positive what about gods that give you positive expected value on the disbelief?
Well, usually religions that posit an afterlife, the afterlife is eternal, right, and infinite and abound. So that posits a infinite expected value if you were to believe and be correct.
Sure. What about the? So I'm going to propose a new metaphysical entity. This is an entity called atheismo. Atheismo really only cares if you use your senses to rationally evaluate the world. And so the name atheismo comes from the fact that it seems like the only people that atheismo sends to atheismo heaven are atheists. And everybody else goes straight to the worst possible hell imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like then, if such a being is metaphysically possible, it seems like then you are obligated to not believe in a god.
Yes, that given that condition set, yes.
So how do you compare?
However,
go ahead.
That you were just like you're competing on a theistic plane. Like, but at that point, if that were there, then you're still conceding theism.
No, because I would not believe, right?
I mean, it feels a little tautological to say like the entity I believe in posits that I can't believe in entities.
No, I don't believe in it, but it's metaphysically possible. So you have to consider it, and then you can reject it, and rejecting it will give you a higher expected value.
Yes, however, that may be true. There are several denominations of Christianity that have very low barriers to entry that I can effectively buy lottery tickets for multiple of them with very little action on my day-to-day life. So multiple lottery tickets from multiple branches of Christianity would still provide a better expected value than one lottery ticket from atheismo that is probably not well established in cultural or historical religious text.
Well, now you're trying to provide additional evidence for why one of the options is true, but this has nothing to do with expected value.
I don't.
Whether it's culturally supported or historically supported is irrelevant to the Pascal's wager game, right? Pascal's wager is merely about metaphysical possibility.
I think that it is still rational to take a free lottery ticket every single day that doesn't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost you anything to be atheist either.
Right, but there is no positive expected value for the return on being atheist.
Sure there is.
Like, there's no...
If atheismo is metaphysically possible, I'm not saying that it's true, but if it's metaphysically possible, then being an atheist has a positive expected value. In fact, it has the greatest expected value.
I think then, yes, if that is the response, then you are forced to evaluate the likelihood of the claims that are being posited in each of the texts, right?
Right.
That is what you're forced to devolve to.
Yeah. Which is to say, Pascal's wager doesn't actually get you to whether or not atheism is more, or whether or not you should believe in a deity, or whether you should not believe in a deity. Because you can construct a stalking horse, is what it's called, that rules out or that puts everything on equal footing.
Okay. I appreciate that explanation. I think that is a valuable presentation as to point out some of the flaws that Pascal's wager presents. I think I'll have to consider that additionally. And it's actually the first time that I've had that response back, so I do appreciate you presenting it to me.
Yeah, of course. Anything else you want to talk
about? I still feel, I will say that it's not personally convincing, right? Because obviously I'm going to have to spend time with that presentation to understand what it means for me and my actual belief.
Sure.
But personally, I still believe that, if the time comes and I can fall back on my Catholic Christian upbringing and it doesn't cost me anything to do so, I might as well, even if it's a 1% expected value. Why not?
It does cost you something, right? There are cultural expectations, for example. There are epistemological commitments. There are a lot of things. You have to believe that Jesus rose from the dead. That's a cost.
Yes, all I have to do is say that Jesus rose from the dead and cleansed me of my sins and saved me, and that's it. I'm done. I've already done it. It costs me nothing.
Well, to be clear, it's not just you have to say it, you have to believe it, right?
Well, okay, yes, I believe it.
But believing it is a cost, right? Believing it is a cost because it informs on the way that you evaluate the world. Now you could say it's a small cost. Perhaps it is a small cost. But the point is that arguably being an atheist is just as small a cost. And so the question of cost weighted expected value, that won't get you further in the Pascal's wager question either, because being an atheist costs even less. You don't even have to believe that. There is no obligation to believe anything under an atheist paradigm, right? So, and if the expected value is at least as great for atheism, considering that atheismo is at least metaphysically possible, then that means that it seems like there is the cost-weighted expected value doesn't get you there either. Now you might say, well, it is true that perhaps with no evidence in question, that's not the right word, with no evidence presented, atheismo has higher expected value. But you might say that there's more evidence for Christianity than there is for atheismo. But now we're just talking about the evidence for the truth of the claim. We're not talking about Pascal's wager anymore.
Yes, I agree with you in that position. I will say I do think that you have an immense level of patience to be able to entertain the discussions that you have.
Tell me about it.
Like I said, I am a fan of the points that you bring up in the conversations that you engage in. I wish that there were as ability to engage in these more substantively.
Me too.
Ultimately, I feel like you're kind of choosing to walk down this road when you don't have to.
Which road am I walking down? The atheist road?
Entertaining conversations that aren't beneficial. And
for what it's worth, like they're fun for me, right? Like, I don't get to argue with my wife because she's a softie.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make her cry, but I can still argue with people on the internet, and that's fun.
Yeah. And I think that the only other argument for a theistic culture, a monotheistic culture, would be that there is a really big prevalence on faith-based engagement with religion, where there is no empirical evidence for belief in a theistic creator or a god or anything. And that question of faith is what is rewarded within those traditions.
Sorry, can you explain that again? Because I didn't really follow what you were saying.
So,
are you talking about the social benefits of having belief?
No, it's more so just a more textual, literal preaching of Christianity. Claims that there is no belief, there is no reason to believe in God. There is no empirical evidence to believe that God exists. It does not exist. It is not here. However, Christianity implores you to have faith in that thing that is not provable. And it is that faith that is then rewarded in that doctrine.
Yeah, but look, I mean, I understand that that's Christian doctrine. It just seems irresponsible. It seems like the construction of the faith, the construction of the religious tradition, is that it encourages a failure to critically think, right? And it says, don't do this critical thinking thing that has been so successful in promoting human well-being for so long. Instead, ignore your drive to critically examine all of the facts, and instead just believe like a small child, right? And that seems like it's appealing to the bottom denominator. Denominator? Yeah, and I don't know. That seems like the kind of thing that, Marx, I think it was Marx, or maybe it was one of his buddies who said something like, religion is the opiate of the masses. It just seems like it's a mechanism of control when you tell people to not critically examine what's in front of them, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a fair, yes, I would agree that the effects socially and geopolitically of encouraging that type of thought might be net harmful. However, I think within the context of the religion that they're espousing, that's pretty much it. Is like, yes, there's not evidence for this. You can take the leap of faith and you might get a payoff at the end or you might not.
Yeah, I mean, sure. That is the claim, or that is the claim of the tradition. I just don't know why anyone would take that leap of faith.
So I think, and again, that goes back to my initial argument, like it doesn't cost you anything. Like I said it here. I'm still the same. I'm taking money out of my wallet. I don't go to church. I don't,
we don't have to rehash the whole thing if you don't want to. So go ahead.
Yep. Nope.
Okay. Well,
I'm all set there. Like I said, it doesn't cost me anything.
Okay.
I'll buy the lottery. And if another religion comes out that offers me an afterlife and it's an easy to participate in, I'll take that one too. Because it's positive EV, it's rational. It's the rational thing to do, is just concede and just fine. Take the lottery ticket and keep moving with your life.
Have you looked into Baha'i?
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
It's an Abrahamic tradition. And it's a little bit more modern. I think it originated in the 1800s. It essentially takes the view that, God exists, the Abrahamic God exists, but that that God has manifested itself, and I'm probably butchering this, but that God has manifested itself as, has spoken through prophets and manifested itself as avatars everywhere throughout the world, that it's a lot more universalizing, if you will, than Christianity is. And I think it has an even lower cost than Christianity, aside from the fact that being a Baha'i means that, or being of the Baha'i faith means that you are not conforming to the socio-political norms of the society that you live in, which, maybe there's some costs associated with that, but
yeah,
it's certainly metaphysically, it seems like it probably is more aligned with a modern conception of ethics, and more aligned with a modern conception of how we want the world to be and things like this. So it's probably easier to swallow than a faith tradition that originates around 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, I'll take a flyer on it too. If they'll sign me up and I get an afterlife throw out of it and it doesn't cost me anything, then hey, they're in line.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go, but I do appreciate you being here. It was delightful.
Yeah. All right. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Take care. What a nice guy. I wish all Christians were like him. All right, let's bring in some guests from Discord. We have a bunch waiting, and I don't want to forget about them, but let's read some super chats first. Bro doesn't want to go to hell. Look, if hell is real, I don't want to go either. It seems pretty bad. From Lily Ray with the $20. I have listed myself as a Christ believer because I do not follow what most Christians are today. It disgusts me, and I do understand your point of view. I do hope you have a good day and continue what you do. Well, I appreciate that, Lily. But look, so one of the issues, and I've actually heard this brought up specifically by a Christian, by somebody who follows Christ, right? They basically took the view that if you believe that Jesus is who he says he is, then you should believe what Jesus believed. And Jesus probably believed that slavery was acceptable. Jesus probably believed that, in fact, I think we know for a fact that Jesus believed that there was a flood and that Jesus believed in Adam and Eve, or at least that's what it says scripturally, that Jesus believed that these things were real. And so if you want to believe what Jesus believed, then there's a whole host of costs, a whole host of things that you have to believe, which we don't have good reason to believe. Now, if you just want to look at the philosophy espoused by the Christian Bible, then you can be like, oh, well, take the good, leave the bad, and then you're fine. But I would strongly recommend against cherry picking the ethics that you draw from the Bible, because at that point, you just have some ethics that you already agree with, and you're just finding some support for them in a book that you already trust. And from DRC with the 400 Indian rupees, Momo Guy Pan got me asking, isn't blind belief the cheapest psychiatry available for the masses? Why dismantle lobotomy without replacement? For blind belief, lobotomy can only be replaced with hard drugs. I think I know what you're trying to say, and this is what Marx said, that religion is the opiates of the masses, that it is a good way to not feel shitty if you're poor and down and out and diseased. If you want to have good mental health and you're having a really hard time at life, I can understand why people would appeal to religion. And that's why I often won't argue with people who say, I need this. If they say that Jesus is what got them out of their alcoholism, I'm not going to argue with them. I don't want them to be an alcoholic. If you need Jesus to not be an alcoholic, by all means, believe in Jesus. From Iconoclotch with the $2, does Mrs. Dr. B know you called her soft? She knows she's a soft girl. She's a softie. That's one of the things I love about her. From Germs Rosalina with the $10, you can't hedge your bets with religion, especially Christianity. If that God is real, he can tell you you're just saying things you don't believe, or he can tell if you're just saying things you don't believe. You either believe or you don't. So dumb. Well, look, so the point is that there is a difference between saying you believe and actually believing. And so if you can somehow convince yourself, then great. then you win, right? From Glitterlock with the $5, it doesn't cost me anything, says the person who is publicly adopting irrational positions because of it. It costs them their credibility. That's a good point, although in the society we live in, believing these things doesn't cost any credibility. And from L'Oreal Ashley, thank you so much. Always good to see you. God would probably send anyone who believed just because of Pascal's wager to hell on principle dumb. Monkey God would be equally rational because the argument is based on fear of being wrong. It's a funny point. Does God count believing in Jesus as valid if it's just because of Pascal's wager? Maybe. And from Simeon Urchin with the $5, John 5:46 through 47 says, is Jesus saying to believe him, you have to believe in Moses? And then if you believe Moses, the rest of the history in the Bible follows. That's true. Yeah, that's absolutely the case. All right, let's bring up our next guest. I wish that it gave me an order, but I don't know if there's an order on Discord. I'm just going to pull people from the top, and I apologize if I get the order wrong. Infinity Chaos, how's it going? Gotta unmute yourself.
How can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Infinity Chaos, do you believe in a god?
Yes, I am a Muslim.
Okay. I'm happy to hear it, that you are easily able to define yourself. So, look, I don't believe in a god. What would you say is the most convincing argument you could offer me, or the most compelling piece of evidence you could offer me that the god that you believe in is the real one?
Okay, perfect. No problem. I personally don't like to beat around the bush, my brother, so that we don't waste time. So I will just show you plain evidences or direct proofs, which I think are very prominent to me when I was first researching on religion. Yes?
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, by the way, just a quick background check for yourself. I don't really know you. I just found you like 30 minutes ago. Do you believe in science, or is it, what do you believe in?
I don't. So, I mean, I'm a scientist, if that helps.
Oh.
So maybe that answers your question.
Okay, yeah, that's very nice. You're a scientist. Amazing. I actually wanted to be a scientist as well when I was growing up. But yeah, anyways. So I believe in the Quran, my brother. So the reason why I'm a Muslim is because I believe that the Quran has evidences or miracles, specifically scientific miracles, which I think I will be discussing about with you.
Okay, sure.
Which I felt like there no other religion or no other book shows these kind of miracles, especially scientific miracles in this particular aspect. Yeah. So the first miracle that I would like to talk about comes in the field of astronomy. Yeah. So
sure.
in 1973, a couple of scientists described the creation of the universe and called it the Big Bang. Yes, we all know about it. And according to these people, our universe was initially a primary nebula. Then there was a Big Bang and a separation, which gave rise to galaxies, sun, stars.
What did you say our universe was originally?
Initially a primary nebula.
And by primary nebula, do you just mean that it was like a plasma that was hot? Or do you mean something more, do you mean something more specific?
No, I don't mean anything more specific than like a primary nebula. I feel like something that was hot, I believe. So maybe, I'm not quite sure.
So a primary nebula, and I've never heard that phrase being used because it's certainly not associated with the Big Bang. But I guess a primary nebula is, or stellar progenitor cloud, is a vast interstellar region of dust and gas where gravity begins pulling material together to initiate star formation. So I wouldn't say that the Big Bang says that the universe was initially a primary nebula. But otherwise, that's mostly right. Go ahead.
Okay, good to know. But I think I agree with you as well. But anyways, let's go ahead. So there was a Big Bang and there was separation of galaxies, suns, stars, and moon that we call the Big Bang, yes?
Sure.
So in the Quran, in chapter 21, verse 30, in Surah Al-Anbiya, it says, do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together as one unit of creation before we clove them asunder? So this verse speaks about the Big Bang.
What's the verse?
Chapter 21, verse
21,
30.
I'm sorry. Verse 13, okay.
Verse 30.
30. Okay. Yeah, so
yes.
What does this have to do with the Big Bang?
Yeah, so the verse says, "Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together as one unit creation before we club them asunder?"
Yep.
So this
Okay.
is Big Bang in a nutshell,
How is
in
it?
like a very, very brief nutshell.
How is it the Big Bang?
In this verse, God explains
I'm
that
sorry. I have
heavens
to
and
give me 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. Apologies.
no problem. Sure, no problem.
Sorry. Sorry about that. That was health insurance, and I'm still dealing with health insurance because I had a procedure recently. Where were we?
No problem. So we were talking about the Big Bang.
Right. Yeah. Verse, chapter 21, verse 30. Are the disbelievers not aware that the heavens and the earth used to be joined together and that we ripped them apart? That's at least one translation.
Yes,
or that we cleft them asunder, whatever. But that doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the Big Bang.
Big Bang itself is a huge a blast which separated a lot of things, right?
No, it was just the universe got bigger. It was an expansion. It wasn't anything being split apart.
Yeah, but it was joined together before anything happened.
Well, I don't know what you mean by joined together. It wasn't like one single object.
It was a primary nebula in the start. It was like one single thing.
No, it wasn't. It was just a small, dense gas, or plasma state, right? It wasn't like a single object. It was just a plasma.
Okay. And you think? Do you think this gas was hot?
Yeah. Well, it's a plasma.
Okay. Okay. So actually, the thing is, if you go to continuing this discussion, if you go to chapter 41, verse 11.
Hold on. Before we continue this discussion, let's just read the rest of the verse, shall we? And actually, I'm going to put it up on the background behind me. Because I mean, you brought it up, so it's fair game, right? So here's this is chapter 21, verse 30. Are the disbelievers not aware that the heavens and the earth used to be joined together and that we ripped them apart, that we made every living thing from water? Will they not believe? Well, but not all living things are made from water, right? That seems like it's a mistake. We're made from other things besides water. There's water involved, but not everything is made from water. If we keep on reading, and we put firm mountains on the earth, lest it should sway under them, and set broad paths on it so that they might follow the right direction. The mountains don't prevent earthquakes. They don't stop the earth from swaying. And we made the sky a well-secured canopy, yet from its wonders they turn. The sky isn't a canopy. There's nothing, the sky doesn't prevent anything from getting in. It is he who created night and day, the sun and the moon, each floating in its orbit. The sun does not orbit the earth. So it seems like if you're going to quote the Quran as far as its scientific miracles, then you should probably mention all of the times that it gets it wrong.
Actually, I can help you sort all those verses out one by one.
Yeah, okay, so why does it say we made every living thing from water?
Sure. 1 second. Let me open the verse.
Yeah, it's the same verse that you brought up. It's the same verse.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. It's 1 second. Let me just open it again. Chapter 21. Verse 30, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we made from water every living thing. Will they not believe then?
But
so yeah,
the only thing made from water is water, right? We're made from a lot of things. Water is one of the ingredients.
Yes, but every living thing has water in it.
That's not what it says, though. It says everything was made from water, meaning that you take water and then you make living things out of the water.
Yes, so
But
that means
that's not
that
true. There's other stuff involved.
I agree, no problem, I agree. But it also means that a living thing cannot exist without water.
No, that's not what it says. It says that everything was made from water.
Yes, of course, because everything has water in it.
Right, but that's not what it says. It says everything was made from water, meaning you take water and then you make from that water everything.
I agree with you.
Right. That would be like saying we made every single cake from eggs. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You need a lot more stuff besides eggs to make cakes.
I completely agree with you. But the thing is, every living thing is made from water plus hundreds of or thousands of other things. And you agree with this as well.
Yeah,
I agree with
that's
this
just not what it says, right?
No, that it does not say that, because Quran is not a book of science. It does not have
not
to
a book of science. Then why are you bringing up scientific miracles?
Oh, because you're a scientist, and I felt like you would be more relatable to this.
Well,
this kind of discussion.
So like it's either a book of science or it's not, right?
No, it is definitely not a book of science. But however, this book is for the people who also like to contemplate and think about science, think about creation. So that is why God has given scientific evidences in this book as well, even though it's not a book of science, so that people of science can also ponder with the book.
Okay. So what about the firm mountains on the earth, lest it should sway under them? What's that trying to say?
Do you want to?
It's the next verse, by the way.
Yeah, I know, but do you want to clear the water part first?
I mean, like it sounds like we're just disagreeing on what the words mean. But when something says that when something says that everything is made from something, it sounds like that you take that something and you can make something else out of it. Like you could say that the statue is made from clay, meaning you take the clay and you form out of that clay a statue. So the statue is 100% constructed from the clay.
Okay, but the thing is, it's not saying that we made from water every living thing and nothing else.
That's actually exactly what it says, right?
No, it does not. Look, I'm not.
We made every living thing from water. That's the same as we made from water every living thing. Those are syntactically identical, right? Or semantically identical, I should say.
Every thing has water, right? We both agree that every living thing has. Yeah, so I don't think. What's the problem?
The problem is that at least as written, this makes it sound like everything was made from water. Like God took water and then made that into people.
Every single cell has water in it.
Right,
without
but that's not
water,
saying.
it cannot exist.
It's not saying, and we ripped them apart. That water composes all cells, or water is a part of all of life. It doesn't say that. It says that everything is made from water. Not that water is an ingredient in everything. But like, look, if you wanted, if this is, we could just disagree on what the meaning is here, and we can go on to the next verse. We put firm mountains on the earth, lest it should sway under them.
I'm okay to agree with you for hypothetically. Let's just agree. Let's just agree with you, saying that okay, every living, the Quran says that every living thing is made from water only. Okay, I just agree with you for the sake of the argument. Okay, so when did science discover that every living thing has water in it?
But that's not what it says.
No, I'm asking you this now.
Oh, I don't know. Probably Galen, which was like the ancient Greeks, like 2,000 plus years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if Galen knew this.
Very recently, scientists discovered that every living thing has water. That basically life originated from water. Very, very recently. And that 80%.
No, I think that this has been known since like the ancient Greeks. I think that there's probably good reason. I think that we could probably go find an ancient Greek source that makes this claim.
I am pretty sure. Look, it was a fact. The fact has been made very recently from the scientists. And for Quran,
what's your source for that?
My point is basically.
Wait, what's your source for that?
Sorry.
What's your source for that?
Source for what?
That we only recently figured out that every living thing is partially constructed from water.
Oh, the exact source, I'm sorry, I cannot mention to you, but this is
Well,
what I learned from
because
school.
look, as far as I can tell,
yeah.
So there was a ancient Greek philosopher named Thales Thales of Miletus,
Okay.
who proposed that water is the arca, or the archa, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's Greek, which is the principal or primary fundamental substance of all matter. That water is the fundamental thing that makes up all things. And so if that's the case, then this would have been already observed by people like Thales 2,500 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wow, I did not know this. Thank you. And is this noted down somewhere? Has this been written somewhere?
Yeah.
Where has it been?
I mean, like it's on his Wikipedia page.
But is there a proof as though he has written it?
Wikipedia cites its sources.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
I can just show you. Well, I can show the audience. Thales' view that all of nature is based on the existence of a single ultimate substance, which he theorized to be water, was widely influential among the philosophers of his time.
Okay.
And this was 1,000 years before Muhammad, right?
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
So then why did you say that humans only figured this out recently?
Oh, because I got to know that scientists made this as a fact very recently.
But that's false. So why did you say that? Why did you think that that was true?
Because the reason why, because if for scientists to actually prove that water exists in every single living being, is because we need to have the technology of this era. For example, microscopes. Microscopes were not there back in the day to analyze cells, cytoplasms, and all these things, no?
You don't need to look. You don't need to know that. You don't need a microscope to know that blood is made of water, or that blood is at least partially constructed from water, right? You don't need a microscope for that.
I mean, for a scientist to claim with 100%, 100% confidence with the fact that every living thing, not just blood, every single living thing is made from water, you definitely need some sort of instrument.
But Muhammad wasn't saying that that it's scientifically true, that it's like 100% proven. He was just making a claim in the same way that Thales of Miletus was.
Wait, when did I say Muhammad is making a claim?
Well, it's in the Quran, and Muhammad dictated the Quran, right?
No, he did not. What do you mean dictated?
He spoke it, and then he had scribes write it down.
Oh, yes, that's true. But then he did not actually say it, or he did not write it down. Or
I didn't say he wrote. I didn't say he wrote it down. The point is that in the same way that Muhammad said this and dictated it to his scribes, Thales said this, and Thales said it 1,000 years before. So this knowledge is not Muhammad wasn't the first person to come up with this idea, right? He wasn't the first person to say that all of life is water, comes from water. Thales had this idea 1,000 years beforehand.
Okay, and this, all the text has been constantly very, very constant. No, nothing missing in between.
I don't know what the question is.
I'm asking if the source that you're providing from, is it constant?
Thales?
Has it been hampered in between?
You have to take that up with historians.
Okay, because the thing is, we for a fact know that the Quran or anything related to the Islam has not been tampered.
Wasn't there a caliph named Uthman who got rid of all of the alternative versions of the Quran in like the 700s or something like this?
No, my brother. Those are not versions of the Quran.
Those are just they're textual. They're non-standardized Quranic manuscripts. Yeah. Okay. So at least according to, and maybe we don't trust AI Overview, whatever, but the AI Overview at least says that Caliph Uthman ibn Affan ordered the destruction of non-standardized Quranic manuscripts around 650 to 656 CE to unify the growing Muslim empire on a single authorized text. Which means that if there were non-standardized Quranic manuscripts, then it must have changed at least a little bit.
No. The thing is, what Uthman burned are basically Qurans that had slight side notes on it. For example,
slight differences, yeah. Yeah, slight differences.
No. Can you let me complete, please?
Sure, go ahead.
So he burned the Qur'ans, not with slight differences, not with different editions, not with different volumes, volume 1, nothing. He burned books that had side notes or like points from the person who owned the Quran. For example, if I owned the Quran back in the day and I wanted to make a point in the Quran for my own understanding, that became my Quran, which Uthman burned. So it's not that the Quran which I had is the same Quran which everyone else had in my village. Just imagine, I was in back 1,400 years ago. Everyone has the same Quran. But because I understand what Muhammad said in front of me, I wrote it down in the Quran, or this kind of how you interpret Quran, I wrote it down so that whenever I read it, I understand what this particular sentence means. So Uthman did not want this to happen because this would cause confusion, and this actually would lead in making multiple editions of the Quran, which you are referring to actually, which is a mistake. So there were no editions of the Quran. It was just basically your own interpretations written in the side, basically like how you take your notes in class, no?
So I mean, that seems like it's in contradiction to what I've read. Do you have a source for the claim that like the only modifications that the things he burned were textually identical to the Uthmanic Quran? However, they just had side margins scribbled in the side, or like additional notes scribbled in?
I do not have it on top of my head, but I can search it if you give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's find a source for the translate to English, please. I'm now on islamweb.net.
Let me open the same thing as yours. So what is it called?
Islamweb.net. The Qurans that Uthman burned after copying the Quran.
Islamweb.net. So
here's the thing I'm looking at. I translated it from Arabic to English. In a narration by Al-Tabarani and Ibn Abi Dawud, he ordered them to burn every copy of the Quran that contradicted the copy of the Quran with which he was sent. So this isn't just like somebody scribbling in the margins. This is ordering the burning of those Qurans that contradict the version that he has, at least according to this source. Now, this is just a forum, so this guy could be wrong, but I'd love to see the additional, the contrary evidence, if you will.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm just looking at it.
Sure.
Here it says, of course, this is a forum as well. This is from islamstackexchange.com. So it's a similar question. When Uthman burned many versions of the Quran, how do we know that the burned ones are the wrong ones? Yeah, yep. Something very similar. Not exactly the same though, but similar, yes. So one of the answers is, simple answer, he burned them in front of other respected followers of Islam. He, of course, had discussed the issues with them, and after a possible consensus, he decided to keep the dialect that is easier to read. Remember, all the other Qurans convey the same exact meaning. Now, Islam was
the claim,
against...
right? The key claim here is that all the other Qurans convey the exact same meaning, and that's the point in question. The point in question is whether they all did convey the exact same meaning. And if they didn't, well, then clearly that there's some sort of change happening. If they did convey the exact same meaning, well, then you'd be on the money.
That's actually a very good point. Hold on, I'm looking at a few more sources.
I mean, perhaps it's not relevant. The only point is that like we can trust the historians when they say that Thales and Miletus had this view, had this theory that water was the fundamental matter. And once we acknowledge that, then it's just as trivially the case that Muhammad wasn't revealing something that was special and unique that nobody else had ever thought of before him. He wasn't predicting the scientific discoveries in the future. So it's not really relevant one way or the other.
All right, I think I might have to agree with you because this will take some time for me to search as well. No problem. Do you want to go to the next question that we were discussing about the mountains or something?
Yeah. So why does it say we put firm mountains on the earth? We put firm mountains on the earth lest it should sway under them. It sounds like what they're saying, and other translations say this a little bit more directly, that it is the mountains that prevent earthquakes.
Yeah. What about it?
That's not true. We can just Google that pretty easily, right? Do mountains prevent earthquakes? As far as I know, mountains do not prevent earthquakes. We can just go find a source for this if you want. But again, we're using the AI overview because it's easier, but no, mountains do not prevent earthquakes. We can go find sources if you want.
Okay, and which source is this, brother?
We can just go look at the source. So in fact, it's citing Reddit, so we probably shouldn't trust the AI overview here, but we can look at what the mountains do. 2131. Sorry.
2131. Okay, hold on.
But yeah, it seems like the kinds of things that form mountains are also, or it seems like, at least as far as I know, mountains are the kinds of things that are formed because of earthquakes, right? Or because of tectonic plate activity. And tectonic plate activity is also what causes earthquakes and what causes mountains.
Okay. Have you heard of this something called folding phenomenon?
Folding phenomenon? No, I'm not familiar with it. I'm not a geologist, of course.
Okay. So I read this recently. What it said was that geologists tell us that the superficial crust, that the Earth crust basically, on which we live on. What was it again? Yeah, the Earth crust is hardly approximately less than 30 miles in thickness or something like that. Yes.
Yeah, the Earth's crust is not particularly deep.
Crust,
yeah.
Yeah, it's not very deep. Yeah, so this shakes basically when there's an earthquake or whatever. And they also mentioned that this there's a phenomenon called folding phenomenon, which gives rise to mountains basically.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's what you mean. Sure.
Yeah, and because of this folding phenomenon, mountain ranges, there is stability on Earth. That's what geologists said.
So because of the folding phenomenon, there's stability? Then why was there like a devastating earthquake in Nepal in 2015?
Oh, that's actually a very good question.
Because that's like right next to the biggest mountains in the world.
Yes, that's a very good question. Actually, you know what? That was a very good answer for this kind of question as well. I remember from one of the speakers. So a very intelligent person asked the same question to the speaker as well. So in the Quran, it says that you have mountains. They prevent the earth from shaking and whatnot. But there are in the Nepal, Nepal is filled with mountains, the Himalayas, the earthquakes always happen. So what is your answer to that? The answer that the speaker gave was very interesting. Actually, he said, "You have to realize that if there were no mountains in Nepal, the earthquakes would have been worse. And one simple analogy is because, yeah, the analogy that he gave is that just because there are sick people in the hospital, it does not mean that the hospital is, you know, it's there are sick people in the, it's like hospitals are
right, but you'd have to prove that the earthquakes would be less bad, or sorry, would be worse if there were no mountains. You'd have to prove that. You can't just say, oh well, they would be worse if there were no mountains. Well, prove it.
That's physically not possible because we cannot just move mountains.
Well, what you can do is you can go look at places where there aren't mountains, and you'll see that there aren't earthquakes.
That's a valid point as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, look, the only reason I bring this up is because literally one verse after you say that there's a scientific miracle in the Quran, it says something that at least like seems like it's just completely wrong. It's in completely the wrong direction.
Oh, also I found this verse. So there's a book by the title Earth. It's apparently known as one of the best textbooks in the field of geology, and it is referred to in most of the universities in this subject. And one of the authors, whose name is Frank Press, who was the president of the Academy of Sciences in the USA, and was also the advisor to ex-president of USA Jimmy Carter and many people. Frank Press, in his book, draws a mountain and shows that the mountain has got deep wedge-shaped roots. And he also writes in his book that it is due to the mountains which prevents the earth from shaking.
Okay, but clearly it doesn't. So either this is being cherry-picked and taken out of context, or the guy's wrong, because in Nepal, they have devastating earthquakes.
No,
so
but I'm
like,
pretty sure that
I don't know what the I don't know what the source is trying to get at, but like the places where, I mean, like in California has mountains, and it also has tons of earthquakes. The Mediterranean, like in Italy, has mountains, and it also has tons of earthquakes. So like, what am I to do with that? And Kansas has no mountains, and it has no earthquakes. I don't think that there are earthquakes in Kansas.
I'm on the same page with you, brother, but this is something that you have to take up with the person who wrote this textbook, which is very, very popular.
I mean, have you read the textbook?
One of the most... Sorry?
Have you read the textbook? Have you heard of the textbook before 2 minutes ago?
I have heard about this textbook before.
Okay.
But I have not read this personally.
Okay, so then how do you know what it's saying?
Sorry, brother, what did you say again?
How do you know that the textbook is saying that?
Oh, because I heard from someone else, basically, about this textbook, and I did a little bit of research on this textbook and who the
textbook called? Author is. What's the textbook called? What's the author's name, and what's the page that the quote is on? We'll see if we can find it.
Sure. So the book is called Earth, and apparently it's one of the best textbooks in the field of geology, and the author is Frank Press, who is
who?
Very famous because
what's the last name?
President Frank Press, Press.
Is it called Understanding Earth?
No, it's just called Earth.
Because I'm not finding any book called Earth by Frank Press.
Okay, let me try to search it up as well.
Oh, there's a book by Frank Press and Raymond Seaver. Is that the one you're referring to?
What's it called?
It's called Earth by Raymond Seaver and Frank Press.
Wait, I just found a book called Earth by Frank Press, no? I just searched it up and it just came first thing.
The only one I'm seeing, it has two authors. It's by Frank Press and R. Seaver. I'm on...
No, the one I'm seeing is only by Frank.
We can just check. I'm on Frank Press's Wikipedia article. We can go to publications. The only publication titled Earth is co-authored with R. Seaver. It was published in 1986.
Raymond Seaver, is it? Yes, I think that's the one.
Okay, yeah. So it's not just written by him, it's written by two people, but we can just go look for that. I'm going to go see if I can find a copy of this. I should be able to. And do you know what page or what chapter it's in? This quote?
No, I'm probably just do Control F or something.
Okay. Do you know what the direct quote is?
Hold on, let me just try to search up if I feel something. No, I do not know the direct quote, but it has something to do with mountains having deep wedge-shaped roots.
Okay, so I will look for the phrase wedge-shaped.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay. So 82 times does the word word wedge show up. I'm looking for times when it talks about wedge-shaped. Actually, we'll just search the word wedge because it's probably not a very common word in the book. It only appears 8 times in the book, the word wedge at all. And so I'm searching through the times that it appears. So there's fans from many adjacent streams along a mountain merge to form a long wedge of sediment. So that's talking about rivers. Petrologists now believe that the large volumes of andesite associated with subduction zones may originate in the mantle wedge between the, okay, so that's referring to the mantle. Resting on the offshore shelf is a wedge-shaped deposit of sediments. That's referring to sediments. Seismic reflections. Subducted ocean floor dips about 6 degrees under overthrust wedge of highly deformed blah, blah, blah. It doesn't seem like the only time, it seems like the only time that wedge-shaped appears anywhere is on page 18. And we can go look at page 18, see what it says. And it says, the debris was laid down as wedge-shaped sedimentary deposits along submerged edges of the continents. So it's not really talking about mountains. So
Okay.
where did you hear that this book says that the mountains have wedge-shaped roots? Maybe I can look up the word roots in here.
I think it's very hard for us to find just by Control F-ing. So I'm just asking AI for us to help.
Right.
Let's see what AI says.
So the whole point of AI is that you're supposed to look at the sources.
Look at the what?
You're supposed to look at the sources, right? Here's a place where roots are mentioned. Unconformity is therefore
AI with the exact
right. You're supposed to look at the sources that AI uses.
Yes, of course, I know.
So here's a place where roots show up. Unconformities therefore are records of periods of mountain building, even though the roots of the mountains are all we can see today. So it's not talking about anything wedge-shaped there. Here's another case where it's talking about roots. Oh, that page is omitted, but it's talking about plants there. There's the roots. Here it's talking about tree roots. Here it's talking about plant roots. Here it's talking about plant roots again. This is over on the right side. So I'm just scrolling through all of the time that roots are mentioned in this book. Vegetation roots. Roots hold the soil together, so that's referring to vegetation. Plant roots. Limbs or roots of trees. Roots bind soil. Roots of palms. Twigs, roots, and other plant parts. Characteristic of roots of ancient... here, maybe we're talking about mountains again. Okay. Unfortunately, it says limited preview, so I can only read the summary. But it says... batholiths are found in the core of many mountain ranges. Moreover, immense regions of exposed Precambrian rock in continental interiors are made up of successions of overlapping batholiths, many of which show the characteristics of roots of ancient mountains long since removed by erosion. All this implies a connection between large-scale plutinism and the mountain-making process, a connection that will be further explored in Chapter 21. So that doesn't say anything about them being wedge-shaped. Here we have a quote about mountain roots. Variations in the gravity field over the surface correlate with subsurface geologic changes. Mountain roots, an example of buoyant support of mountains, were discovered because of the gravity anomalies they produce. Okay, that doesn't say anything about wedge-shaped.
I have a summary from AI of this particular topic. Do you want me to read it out?
Well, but is it from this book?
Yes, this is from a book called The Earth, written by Frank Press.
Okay, well, apparently not, because I have that book open. And the only places it mentions roots, it doesn't say anything about wedge-shaped. So, like...
let me just read this, yeah? So, key points often cited from this book regarding mountain structure include 4 points. First point, deep roots. Mountains have roots that extend deep into the Earth's surface, reaching several times their elevation above the ground. Number 2, wedge/peg shaped. These roots are often characterized as wedge shaped or peg-like
okay, let's
structures.
look for peg.
Yeah, try to look for peg. That are deeply embedded, allowing them to anchor or stabilize the Earth's crust.
So to be clear, AI is lying to you. The word peg doesn't appear once in this book.
Really? Is that so? Wow.
Yeah, so what are the sources for the AI overview that you're using?
It says
there should be a little source button that you can click on that will it'll pull it up on the side, and it will tell you where it's getting these facts from, where it's getting these claims from.
Yeah, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links. So one is
Facebook. Just go ahead and read the names of the links.
Yeah, it's called Facebook, Mountains, Earth's Natural Anchors.
Okay, Facebook is the first source. What's the second source?
Yeah. Second source is also Facebook.
Okay, what's the third source?
It's Reddit.
What's the fourth source?
JMEST.
JMEST? JMEST.org. I have no idea what that is. What's the fifth source?
Yeah, and then the fifth one, it looks like a PDF, and this is...
So this is not the book, by the way. And sorry, what's the fifth one?
Scribd, SCRIBD.
Oh, Scribd. Scribd is not a book. Scribd is just a place where anybody can upload any document. So the first three sources are Facebook and Reddit. The fourth source is a journal of multidisciplinary engineering, science, and technology. And the fifth source is just a PDF repository. What is the PDF in the... So on Scribd, what's the PDF that it's actually linking?
It's linking to a 2-page PDF, I think.
Okay, so it's not linking to the book is what it sounds like.
Maybe it's just 2 pages from the book.
Okay.
Let me try to download this.
Click it, yeah.
Yeah, let me.
Or tell me what the name. Tell me what the name of the Scribd PDF is, and I can pull it up.
Oh yeah, actually, hold on. Let me do that. It's called Mountains as Earth's Stabilizing Pegs.
Ah, definitely not going to be a source from a book or a scientific source. Yeah. Let's see. So we pull it up.
Maybe not yet.
This is a source talking about the Quran. This is not a source. This is not a scientific source. The simile in the Quran is once again a miraculous statement. So no, this is not a scientific source either. So the sources that you're appealing to for the AI are not sources for the actual book that it claims it says it, or that it claims that that it is. Sorry, I can't talk. The sources that you're giving me have nothing to do with the book that the AI is claiming the text comes from. So this whole business that this book says anything about, you know, these wedge-shaped roots or these pegs or the stabilizing features of mountains for earthquakes, completely fabricated by, typically by Muslims, because, you know, this is an apologetic that's often used, but it's wrong.
Okay, and pegs is not a word
included
in the book at all.
It's not mentioned once in the book.
I see, okay.
So I'm going to let you go because you've been on for a while, but perhaps consider that the claims that you've heard, you know, fellow Muslims make about the apologetics defending these seemingly wrong verses, maybe they're not actually true. Maybe you should check the sources. But I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go because, you know, you've been here for a while, and I need to move on to other guests. But thank you so much for being here, okay?
No problem. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Take care. I mean, he was polite and he was kind, but like, this is like AI literacy is really, really important. And like, look, you can use the AI overview to figure out a quick answer and then make sure that the source is correct, right? Then you go check with the sources. And if the source is Reddit, maybe consider something else. Maybe see if you can find a better source. All right, let's read some super chats and then we'll move on to our next guest. From Ekipo with the €5, is there a Muslim apologist cloning factory out there somewhere? Yeah, it's called the Quran. And from Navy Jet Fixer with the $5, the concept of isostasy, which explains how mountains stabilize the crust. Okay, but I guess the point is that you can have crustal plates that like fold over each other and that prevents them from moving, but that doesn't seem to prevent earthquakes, right? Which is the claim here. All right, let me drink some water and then we'll move on to our next guest. This Yo person better be in the box. Yo is not in the box with how much they're yapping. So let's invite Yo up. Let's see if they come up. It looks like Yo has not accepted the invite. In fact, they rejected the invite. Maybe it was a misclick. We'll invite him again. Oh, they rejected it again. So yeah, Yo has lost chat privileges, so you get to be muted for the rest of the live stream. If you're going to spam, he's not busy because he's spamming in the chat, right? If you're going to spam, then you have to have the balls to come up. Otherwise, you don't get to come up. All right, let's talk to Daniel Gantus. All right, it looks like Daniel's not coming up. Let's talk to Crusader Knight. Crusader Knight, how's it going?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Crusader Knight, I'm going to take a wild guess from your name that you are Hindu.
No.
Bummer. All right, what religion do you have?
Oh, I believe more on the Christianity.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry, I didn't want to make any bad assumptions. Okay, so I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in God. Why should I believe in Christianity?
Yeah, so you want to hear my perspective, my beliefs?
Well, I want you to give me some sort of justification or some sort of reason why I should think that what you believe is true.
Okay, sure. Well, humans don't know what's right from wrong, right?
I think that, you know, some humans know some things about what's right and wrong.
Some humans. Regardless of humans, I think that this book, the Bible, gives us knowledge, and it has some truth that we could agree upon, right?
So you're saying that the Bible has some truth, has some knowledge? I mean, there are definitely true things, some true things in the Bible, sure.
Yeah, and
there are also true things in the Quran, for example. So
yes,
okay,
but the difference is that the God in the Christianity, he wants us to obey him and to love him, right?
Sure. And
yes.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, if we give humans powers, what are they going to do with them? Most of the time they're going to destroy things, right? And that's not obeying
Seemingly
God.
not. At least in the last 5,000 years, the power that humans have had has increased substantially. And in the last 5,000 years, we've built so much.
Yes, we have built.
Our world has more in it today than it did 5,000 years ago.
Well, here's the thing.
But if we were just destroyers, then there would be less today than there was 5,000 years ago.
Well, I don't really believe in the whole idea of pure evil existing.
Okay.
Yes. So that's why we are here.
But look, why should I think that Jesus rose from the dead? Why should I think that the Bible contains, that everything the Bible says is true?
Because there's evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. And
Like what?
you could look at Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they I believe, well, this is why I personally believe, I believe that Jesus managed to ascend himself into a higher state of consciousness, and he turned himself into a light. Meaning
Okay, I understand that that's what you believe. Why should I believe that?
You should believe it because give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
Because if you don't believe, then you're basically not like. Oh man, I'm sorry, I wasn't kind of prepared for today.
I kind of expected that you would be like prepared every day with a name like Crusader Knight, and you have like a church father as a profile picture.
Yes.
I kind of expected that you would be prepared for these questions, like the simple question of why should I believe that Jesus rose from the dead?
I mean, there are evidence out there.
Like what?
Like witnesses, eyewitnesses.
Who?
Josephus is one of them.
Josephus is an eyewitness to Jesus rising from the dead?
No, he's a witness.
What kind of witness is he? Did he hear about it? Did he hear it? Did he see it?
He wrote about it.
Okay, so a witness means that he was there when it happened, right?
Yes.
Okay, now do you know when Josephus was born?
He was born after Jesus, of course.
Right, so he couldn't have been there when it happened.
You're right.
So he wasn't a witness.
Well, okay. I mean, why is evidence so important?
Well, because I want to believe true things, and true things leave behind evidence. At least most of the time. At least some degree of the time. False things wouldn't leave behind any evidence. And so if there's no evidence for something, then it seems like we have more reason to think it's not true than we do to think that it is true.
I mean, there evidence outside. When you look outside, I think there's evidence of proof of God.
What's the evidence?
Well, the ocean, nobody's really moving the ocean. The ocean moves by itself, so that's evidence.
It doesn't move by, what do you mean it moves by itself?
Well, nobody's really moving it. I think the only
do you think how do you think tides work?
Tides?
Yeah, you know, high tide, low tide. How do you think that works?
They work.
Maybe that was a hard question. Is the reason you believe Jesus rose from the dead because there are ocean waves?
No. I said a proof of God that that the oceans, like the oceans move by itself. No, something else has to move it, and I call that God.
So you call the moon God? Because the moon causes the tides, at least most of them.
No. Calling the moon God, I don't think the moon is God.
But the moon causes the majority of the tides. The sun causes the rest of the tides. The sun causes the winds, which causes the waves. The ocean moves because the sun, the moon, and the earth.
I call
That's
that
why the
nature
motion moves.
I call that the nature of God.
You call the sun, moon, and earth the nature of God? And this is why you're a Christian?
The movement, yes. No, I'm a Christian because I believe in the Bible.
Why do you believe in the Bible?
Because it has truth in it.
Like what?
Like the New Testament. Like,
Yeah. What specifically? Like what true things does it have in it?
Do you know about the Ten Commandments?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe on that.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go, Crusader King. I think you have some thinking to do, but thanks for being here, bud.
All right.
Take care, buddy. Was his name Crusader King or Crusader Knight? Anyway, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to Anthony Peace. Anthony, how's it going?
Pretty damn good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing it, about as well as I could be expected to be. Anthony, do you believe in a god?
Hey, man, I'm glad that... Yeah.
Okay, and which one would that be? Are you Christian?
I was raised Catholic, but I would say that I look at things through more of a... But I do ultimately believe in a god.
You kind of cut out there for a minute. Also,
think,
there's a lot of background noise. Could you move to a quieter place, please? Would that be possible?
Yeah. Let's see.
Do you happen to be driving?
I am driving, yeah.
All right, I gotta let you go.
Try to guess.
Not because you did anything wrong, but because it is TikTok TOS and I don't want to get taken down. I'm gonna bring up ShowTube. ShowTube, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, man? I saw that you have a PhD in mathematical physics. That's awesome, man.
I appreciate that. But ShowTube, do you believe in a god?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And which one would that be?
Christian.
Okay, great. So, look, I don't believe in that. Why should I believe in the Christian God?
Well, I'm sure that you've debated like a lot of guys who entertain this like philosophy. People call it like Philbro or something.
Yeah, sure.
When I saw that you did mathematics, it made me think of transcendentals and universals.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to talk about that because I think that points towards God.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So are you familiar with the argument of the transcendental argument?
Yeah, I am.
Presuppositionalism?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it hasn't convinced you.
No, I don't think it's ever convinced anybody who wasn't already convinced by Christianity, actually.
Well, I use it more so as a way to deduce God in the first place. I would say that in order to have these transcendentals, God would have to exist as the necessary precondition.
Right. All I was saying is that I don't think that the transcendental argument has ever convinced anybody of anything ever, unless they already believed in God.
Well, that's what convinced me.
Really? You were an atheist beforehand?
I was, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's hear the thing that convinced you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, where do things like universals such as logic, knowledge, truth, reason, things like that,
what if I don't think that there exists such universals?
You don't think that logic exists?
No, I don't think it has ontology.
Well, ontology would just be the fundamental nature. You don't think logic has a fundamental nature?
I don't think that knowledge is a thing that exists.
So where does knowledge? Well, where may be a category error. How does knowledge exist?
I think knowledge is akin to like a language game in the same way that the rules of chess are a set of rules for how to correctly play chess. Like you can move pawns forward one space unless they're on their starting line. These are a set of rules. In the same way, we have codified the way that we think about things in terms of these things that we call, laws of thought or laws of logic. I take it to just be rules that we constructed to kind of formalize the way that we think about things.
Yeah, so I do appreciate that view. I think that's a really good view to have. I think Aristotle is the one that coined the whole semantic idea of logic. So if you're saying that logic is semantic, there are some problems to it.
Like what?
Well, we're subjective people. How do we know whose definition is correct whenever we say that this is what logic is?
What do you mean definitions don't have like truth value? Definitions are just agreed upon meanings.
Right, so axiomatic, right?
No, they're not axiomatic. They're just agreed upon meanings, right? Like
but the justification...
A thing means something, and so as long as you and I agree on what a word means, then we can use that word to convey that meaning.
Right, but it's a problem of justification, like if we actually know, according to ultimate reality, if that's the correct view. I'm not saying the syntax is bad. I'm just saying, does it comport with ultimate reality?
Does what comport with ultimate reality?
Our conception of logic and utilization thereof.
I think that this is a category error, right?
Is it?
Logic is just a formalization of the way that we think about things.
Yes,
and to be clear, there are multiple different ways that you can formalize this. There are multiple different versions of logic, right?
Are you saying that logic...
It doesn't even make sense to say that like a formalization comports with reality. A formalization is it's a non-real thing. It's a game that we construct to kind of organize our thoughts.
Yeah, but you're saying that logic is contingent on the human mind, right?
Well, I would say it's contingent on minds. I imagine that like aliens could come up with, logics of their own, right? But yeah, generally.
Okay, and logic is universal.
Universal in what sense?
In the sense that it applies to everyone in all places.
Which logic is universal?
Well, the logic that we're utilizing to make a reasonable deduction.
Which one? Fuzzy logic, trivalent logic.
It could be modal
logic.
Yeah,
so which one is universal? Because there are different there are different axiomatizations of logic that are mutually contradictory.
Yeah, I would say things like law of non-contradiction, excluded middle identity, law of identity, things like that.
The law of identity doesn't hold in Schrodinger logics. The law of excluded middle doesn't hold in fuzzy logics or trivalent logics. And the law of non-contradiction doesn't hold in dialetheism. So...
Well, there's a problem whenever we're just focusing on the application of logic, and we're kind of
these aren't applications. These are different formalizations of logics.
Yeah, but it's how we're utilizing them. We're talking about the foundation of logic. You say there's no ontology.
I don't think that there is like a foundation.
I know, but because you say there's no ontology of logic.
Yeah.
But then would logic still exist if human minds didn't exist?
No. Well, unless there's aliens, but...
So an apple could exist and not exist if a human mind didn't say that can't happen?
I don't understand the question. Are you asking about a proposition?
Yeah.
Or are you asking about like the state of affairs of an apple?
Yeah, because you're saying that logic is contingent on the human mind. But if there were no human minds and apples still existed through evolution,
apples could still exist whether or not humans existed, sure.
Could a corporeal object, just a random object, could it exist and not exist at the same time before the human mind said that can't actually happen because I've deduced it?
Well, look, so there is a state of affairs. The state of affairs is one way. However that state of affairs is how it is. If the state of affairs is the apple exists, then the apple exists, and it doesn't not exist because that's just what language means.
The problem is, when you say a state of affairs, that's assuming an external state by which we come to know it. But if you're saying that logic is identical to the human mind,
I'm not saying it's identical to the human mind.
I'm sorry, that it's contingent on the human mind.
It's built by the human mind, sure.
Right. But now you're trying to have logic exist in some sort of syntax of the world. No, but also
there are ways that the world can be, and then the way that we describe the world in terms of propositions, those are things that logic applies to.
Do you not believe in like an ultimate reality?
I don't know what that means. I think that there is an external world that actually exists.
I mean objective reality.
So if by objective you mean mind independent, yeah, sure. I think that the external world is such a thing. I think it exists independently of human minds.
Like, we could have conceptions like we think that we're in a room full of blue walls, when in ultimate reality it's actually a room full of orange walls, but we just deduced it incorrectly. I'm saying that there's like an ultimate source of that.
Well, I don't know what you mean by an ultimate source. I think that there is a world that exists and we live in it.
Okay, well, I feel like what you're doing is creating a sort of empty platitude to make it sound like, well, we're just trying to understand the world as best we can. No one's like disagreeing with that, but your foundation is not giving you what we see.
The foundation of what? You're trying to demand that there should be a foundation to this thing that I don't even think exists.
No, logic. We're talking about logic.
I don't think that logic has existence. I don't think it has the existence property, if you can even call existence a property.
Well, when you say ontology, that gets me confused, because in philosophy, that could also mean being, ultimate being.
Yes. Ontology doesn't mean ultimate being. It means being itself. It means, like, so an apple has ontology, assuming you grant that apples exist. If an apple exists, then it has ontology. That's what it means to have ontology. It means that it has some sort of existence property. So I'm just saying that logic doesn't have that. Logic is not part of reality.
There's no
any more than Microsoft Word is.
There's no ultimate apple like form thereof. Like, are you like a Platonist?
Sure. No, I'm a nominalist. But when I refer to an apple, I can just point to like a specific thing in my fridge, for example.
So you're a nominalist, so you don't believe in any universals.
Yeah.
So you don't think numbers are universals?
I don't think that numbers exist. So.
Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting, I guess. Like, I haven't really heard anyone completely deny numbers.
Ooh, then you haven't talked with nominalists.
Well, I mean, you do have a PhD in mathematics, which is respected, but
technically it's in mathematical physics, but that's neither here nor there. Cooler.
But I would say that math exists within the mind, like it's an abstraction. Yeah. I would also say logic is an abstraction.
So I mean, I would take it to be an abstraction, and I would take abstractions to not be things that exist.
Exist in the sense of?
In the sense that they have that they partake in reality. That they are real.
Okay, but if it's not real,
existence is sort of like a primitive, so it's really hard to kind of define what it means to exist, right?
Sure, but you're saying it's not real in the sense of having something. Oh, so you're saying that logic exists of the mind, but it's not of itself.
Yeah,
it only exists.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's one way to think about it. Sure.
Okay, because the words, they can get kind of confusing.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to throw out a bunch of philosophy words.
No, you're good.
But okay. So I would say that logic is universal, but you said, what was it?
I don't think that. Well, I'm a nominalist, so I don't think that there are universals.
Well, sorry. When I say universal, I'm talking that it applies throughout the whole universe.
Oh, I would say it doesn't. But I'm also not like. In the sense where I don't think that every proposition has or I don't think that every sentence has a meaningful way to. How do I want to phrase this? I don't think that every sentence can be meaningfully understood using the standard classical logic. That said, I don't even know what it means for a logic to apply to the universe.
Well, when I say that, it simply just means, like, if you say that logic is not universal, meaning it applies in all states through argumentation or whatnot, then it wouldn't necessarily apply to this debate, because it wouldn't be necessarily universal, and I could just win by saying God exists because God exists.
I take logic to be a set of rules that we apply, or that we agree upon when discussing certain classes of sentences, right? That we can reason from some sentences to other sentences using a set of rules that we've agreed upon. So I would take logic to be like something that only makes sense to talk about when we're talking about sentences of a certain kind. We call them propositions.
Yeah. I would love to get onto because I don't want to harp on just the same thing. You said mathematics. They don't exist as universals.
Numbers, yeah.
I do know that, would you say, if we have like a coconut, like a singular coconut, would you say that that's one? Like that's one.
Would I say that? I would say that we can describe the quantity of coconuts with a number one. I wouldn't say that the coconut is identical to one.
Okay, because what Aristotle would say is that it like exists within, like the universals are instantiated, or not instantiated, but they exist as the particulars themselves. Because you're giving me a very weird philosophy.
I wouldn't say that there's any universals at all, at least not that I can think of.
Well, Aristotle denies universals too. He gives it a more like ambiguous idea where it's just like the universals, air quote, exist in like particulars. Because what you're saying to me is quite odd. You're saying there's no ontology of numbers, but they also don't exist externally.
They exist only within minds, is what I'm getting at. Namely, that these are conceptions, and so when I
question you further on that, Yeah, you're also not assuming a Platonist worldview or any sort of abstract form.
I'm a nominalist, so I don't
Exactly.
think that abstracta exist at all. Universals are a kind of abstraction. So are Platonic objects. Those are also a kind of abstraction. I don't think that any of that exists.
Yeah, well, I'm not a Platonist either. I'm just saying that, like, you're rejecting every single one of these ideas, but then when I press you on it,
I think that there exists an external world. That external world is made of stuff. And then we can describe that external world using language.
Right, but the language is predicated on subjective insight of it. Right?
Yeah.
And that's when my first question was, whose view should we be taking?
I mean, if is this like a normative claim? Like, I mean, it seems like we would have to rely on something, and so, you know, at least historically, we've relied on things that seem to be repeatable and seem to be mutually agreed upon by everybody, and that's how we seem to come to some sort of conclusions about the world. Now, could we be mistaken about all of it? I suppose.
Okay, well, that kind of undermines your argument a bit, because I'm
just not an absolutist about truth. So
okay, well, that's an absolute claim. That's an absolute truth claim.
Me not being an absolutist about truth is not an absolute truth claim.
Right, because you're saying it's true that there's no absolute truth, and then I could ask,
I'm not saying that.
Okay, what do you mean then?
So when I say I'm not an absolutist about truth, what I mean, or about I should say about knowledge, what I mean is that, like, I think that you can know things even if you don't have 100% certainty about them.
But okay, dude, I really don't want to get into like the deep philosophy, because I don't know if people are here for that. But like, knowledge would be justified. I know, but like, I'm also reading some of the chat, and they're like wanting to move on to like other stuff.
I mean, you don't have to worry about what the chat's thinking about.
Well, that's fine. I don't want to just harp on like random stuff. But when you say that, like, I can know things, what did you say? Just really quickly.
I think that it's meaningful to say that you can know something even if you don't have 100% certainty.
Okay, but absolute certainty is predicated whenever we're talking about knowledge.
No, I don't think that's true.
Well, then you don't believe in justified true belief.
Justified true belief is not a good definition of knowledge anyway. It fails in Gettier cases.
Gettier cases being like the problem of like that barn example. I think
maybe. So the example that I usually see for Gettier cases is that if let's suppose that it's 2 p.m. It's actually 2 p.m. Like if you went and looked, if it was actually 2 p.m. And you believed it was 2 p.m. and your justification for believing that it was 2 p.m. was by looking at a broken clock, and the broken clock happened to say 2 p.m. on it, you'd be justified because you looked at a clock and the clock gave you justification for your belief. The belief is true, right? That justification led to the formation of your belief that it's 2 p.m. and then that belief happens to be true.
Well, there's a problem with that. It's assuming a system by which we can know that there's a clock at all. That's the problem when we say truth.
Look, the example of the Gettier case is just to show you that justified true belief is not necessarily what we mean when we say knowledge, because it'd probably be incorrect to say that person knew it was 2 p.m. because he looked at a broken clock. But it was still justified. It was still a belief, and it was still true. So
no.
I mean, that's why people don't use justified true belief for knowledge claims anymore. At least not since the 20th century.
In the Gettier case, truth is becoming synonymous with belief internally.
No, it's not. A Gettier case is just an example of how justified true belief can fail. Justified true belief can fail to mean what we understand knowledge to be.
Yeah, but you're not understanding that, like, we're talking about the external world, and if it's true that there's a clock at all, that's what it doesn't solve. That's what justified true belief does solve. The Gettier case is
unrelated to that. The Gettier case is just showing you that this knowledge as justified true belief just doesn't work.
Yeah, but whenever you say that, like, you can know something without knowing it for certain, I could just give you a classic, like, I think everyone's heard it. Well, how do you know that?
Well, look, so this is just how I understand what knowledge. This is just how I understand what knowledge is.
Are you certain?
Through my interactions of the way that people use the word, through my through my the people that I interact with and the way that they use the word. This is how I understand people. This is how I understand what people to mean when they're talking about knowledge. They mean some degree of some high degree of certainty mixed with perhaps some sort of reason why they have that high degree of certainty, and perhaps that reason should be somehow connected to the actual likely certainty of the claim, like these kinds of things, right? There's some sort of vague notion that which is what most people mean when they're talking about knowledge. And it doesn't usually require absolute certainty.
I do see what you mean. I do. And I know that it seems like you're just harping on something like, well, if you're not like absolutely certain, do you really know it? And I know it seems like you're picking at straws, but like it is somewhat self-refuting whenever you're saying, well, do you know that you don't know anything for certain?
Do I know that I don't know anything for certain? No,
Yeah.
I never made that claim. There could be things that I do know for certain. There
you
could be
certain
things that I
that-
don't know for certain.
Are you certain that you don't know anything for certain?
No, I never made that claim.
Well, what was your claim before? It was that...
My claim is that knowledge doesn't require 100% certainty.
Right, and are you certain of that claim?
That's just a definition. That's just how I understand the word to be.
Right, but that's an axiom. It's axiomatic.
It's not an axiom, it's a definition. Axioms and definitions are not the same thing.
Well, whenever we're trying to justify epistemology, it kind of is, because
no, definitions are definitions are just meanings of words. It's just what's intended by the word that's being used.
Yeah, right, but we're trying to justify
an axiom is not tautological. A definition is tautological. It's defined to be that way.
When you say tautological,
axiom is like analytic. A definition is analytically true in that that's just what's meant by the word. An axiom, at least as typically understood in mathematics, is not analytically true. It is, what's the opposite of that? Semantic? There's a word for it. Synthetically true.
Okay, so
it's assumed to be synthetically true, I should say.
So when I'm asking for like a justification of something, and you're saying you're going to invoke a definition, what you could do, that's almost synonymous. Okay, I'm not going to be 100% on that, but it is almost synonymous with a bedrock axiom when we're trying to justify something. Okay,
what are you asking me to justify?
Your knowledge, your epistemology, your ability to utilize that.
Which epistemology? Which thing?
Epistemology itself. Like, what do you mean?
I don't have one epistemology. I'm a pluralist about lots of these about these kinds of things.
I'm not talking about the particulars or like the propositions. I'm talking about the syntax of epistemology itself.
The syntax? I don't think epistemology has syntax.
When I say syntax, I'm talking about like the structure, the nature of epistemology, how it's utilized to know different types of propositions. Yes.
So you're asking me, how do I justify? I don't even know what you mean by the nature of epistemology. Epistemology is just the study, or it's the field of philosophy that concerns itself with knowing things.
Well, okay. See, what you're doing again.
What does it mean to justify that?
Semantics.
I just don't know what you're asking. I just don't know what you're asking. That's all.
Well, what you just said is that you're relating epistemology to pure semantics. And that's what
epistemology is the study of, or it is the branch of philosophy that concerns itself with knowledge, how knowledge is acquired, how beliefs are formed, these kinds of things. That's what epistemology is.
You don't make any certain claims. You don't make any certain claims in your worldview. You've already admitted that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, but then how can you be certain that you're not making any certain claims? And you're saying, well, it's just the definition that it's given.
Look. So
okay, but what justifies
I could be wrong.
that?
I could be wrong about that. There could be certain claims that I'm making. I just don't know about them.
Right, but that completely undermines your arguments, though.
What argument does it undermine?
The arguments that it is naturally semantic, that there are no universals, transcendentals don't exist ontologically. I mean, the list goes on.
I didn't make any arguments. Those are just a bunch of things that I think are true.
Well, arguments are not. Like, what are they predicated on? That's why philosophy is so important.
They're predicated on my understanding of the way people use certain words. They're predicated on my understanding of the way that people talk about logics and the way that people talk about propositions, the way that people talk about abstracta, what it means for things to exist. It's predicated on a lot of things.
Which could be completely wrong because you don't know for certain if they're right or not.
Could be, yeah.
Well, that I know that seems kind of like I'm picking at straws again, but that undermines your arguments.
So you're telling me that the thing that undermines my argument is that I could be wrong about something?
It's not just that you could be wrong about something. It's that the justification for the utilization of like your epistemology could be completely wrong. Like I said, thinking that you're in a room full of blue walls when you're really not. To be clear,
could the justification for your epistemology be wrong?
The justification, me invoking God?
Yeah. Could that be wrong?
Well, no, because it's necessary.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, that would need to be demonstrated on your worldview, right?
Well, yeah, you believe that knowledge exists, right?
Again, as an abstract object, or just as like a thing that minds do?
I'm not saying that knowledge exists like in a Platonist worldview. I'm just saying that knowledge exists.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like people have knowledge, sure.
Okay, yeah. So we would have to agree on the definition of knowledge for me to go further with that, but I don't know if we do, because you don't hold to justified true belief.
I think justified true belief works in a lot of cases. It's just not bulletproof.
Bulletproof in the sense of like,
in the sense that it literally fails in Gettier cases. Right.
Okay, but again, we went through that Gettier cases are presupposing that we can know things about the outside world.
No,
and apply them
doesn't.
internally.
It just all a Gettier case is supposing that there is a truth of the matter. It's possible to have a justified true belief about it without actually having knowledge about it. Right?
Yes, but the issue is whenever you say truth, that is becoming synonymous with belief. It's not actual truth.
No, it's not synonymous.
How do you justify that claim?
Gettier cases don't say anything about fallibility or infallibility of knowledge claims. It's completely unrelated to the Gettier case problem.
Yeah, and that's the problem though, because how do you know that
it just seems like you don't. It just seems like you don't understand what Gettier cases are trying to demonstrate.
No, I know how they demonstrate like the utilization of knowledge, but
it has nothing to do with utilization.
No, it 100% is. You're making the claim.
It's about defining it. It's about defining knowledge.
Yeah, but that's the utilization. We use it. We use the definitions that we give it. What are you talking about?
Okay, so you were talking about utilization of the definition, not utilization of the knowledge itself.
Utilization of the definition of knowledge?
Yeah.
I'm talking. What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well, because you said that it's about the utilization, and I said no, it's not. And then you said, yeah, it is. It's about the utilization of the definition, or something like that. And so I was just clarifying that that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Gettier cases concern themselves with what's an appropriate definition that, in some sense, agrees with the way that we kind of, not lay, but like the way that humans kind of intuitively understand what knowledge is. Gettier cases demonstrate that this justified true belief definition doesn't always line up with the way that we conceptualize knowledge.
Okay, so when we talk about things that we know, if we could be wrong about it, do we really know it or do we just believe it?
That's the question. The question is what exactly is knowledge? And I posit that you can know things even if you don't have 100% certainty.
Okay, but then it's not knowledge, it's just belief. You strongly believe it because you could be wrong about it. You're not using knowledge now, you're using belief.
So
that's the problem.
Look, I would take knowledge to be a certain kind of belief. Like, of course it is.
Okay, well now you're just giving it like a special. You believe this. You believe this too. You believe that knowledge is a justified true belief, which is a kind of belief. Yeah, it has to be justified. It has to be true, and it's a belief. So
it's a kind of belief.
Yes, but it's one that actually gives you absolute knowledge, which is necessary.
Who says anything about why did you have to add absolute in front of knowledge if knowledge is already, according to you, by definition, absolute?
Well, because you're not agreeing with me on that. I'm trying to show you
I'm a
that's what's
fallibilist.
necessary.
I'm a fallibilist about knowledge.
A fallibilist in how do you mean?
In that I think that you can know things without having certainty.
Okay, but it's not knowledge; it's just belief. Because you've already admitted that you could be wrong about it.
So
you're trying to smuggle in this idea.
Showtube. So let's examine this, and let's just examine the way that people use these words, right? So I've been married to my wife for almost 8 years now. I would say that I know that she loves me, right? Could I be wrong about that?
Yeah, you could be.
Okay, so should I not say that I know that my wife loves me because I could be wrong about it?
No, this is a principle of induction. I'm not saying that that's completely flawed at all. I'm
so
not saying that you shouldn't utilize that.
Despite not having 100% certainty, it is entirely reasonable to say that I know that my wife loves me.
Yeah, but see, that again, like I said, it's an empty platitude because what you're saying is
it's literally not an empty platitude. It just, when we say that we know something, it just conveys a particular meaning that is stronger than just a belief.
I know, but it's like, well, I'm using like my reason, and this really seems reasonable, and it seems reasonable to say.
It seems reasonable, and we have some sort of described relationship between the justification and the belief forming mechanism, and there's some sort of like relationship between the external world and the claim being made. Knowledge is a type of belief that conveys some degree of more rigorous understanding. It's not just some empty platitude. It's just a specific kind of belief.
No,
and you think it's the same. You think it's the same thing too.
No, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm saying whenever we're trying to justify knowledge itself, you saying, well, we're just trying the best we can and it seems reasonable. Like, that sounds great, right? It's a platitude, it sounds great, but it doesn't actually solve the issue of the self-defeating notion when you say that you know you don't know anything.
How is it self-defeating?
Because you're saying that, like, I know that I don't need certainty.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I'm not saying I know that I need. Well, okay. Under my definition of no, that's fine.
Oh, under your definition.
Under my definition of no, it is totally coherent to say I know that I don't need certainty.
Would you accept that your definition of knowledge is synonymous with belief?
No, it's literally not.
Really?
It's a specific kind of belief.
Could you be wrong about the things you claim to know?
Sure.
If you know something,
at least some of them, maybe.
If you claim to know something but you don't know it for certain, does it follow that you believe it or you actually know it?
It can be both.
Really?
Everything that you know, you also believe. But not everything that you believe, you know.
Again, the platitude. Like,
no, I
don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
Wait, hold on.
Here.
So do you know that God exists?
Do I know that God exists according to whose view of knowledge?
Your view.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that God exists?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just saying that knowledge is just an empty platitude. It's just equivalent to belief.
I'm not saying it's equivalent to belief. I'm saying it's utilized.
That's what you're saying to me.
I'm not saying
but they're not
that,
the
like,
same
knowledge,
thing.
No. I said knowledge is justified true belief. I'm not saying that it's the exact same thing as belief.
Right, and I'm not saying it's the exact same thing as belief either.
Yeah, but I know you're not saying that, but that's what your argument is saying.
No, it's not. There are additional features. There are additional features that you need in order to call it knowledge.
Great, but if you can't know something for certain...
So then it's strictly not the equivalent of belief, right? Belief would be the subset of all, like, belief is kind of a hard thing to define. It's kind of primitive, but, like, we can say that, like, a belief is some sort of attitude towards a proposition, right? Now, knowledge is going to be a specific kind of attitude towards a proposition, and not all attitudes towards propositions are going to be in that smaller subcategory of specific kinds of attitudes towards propositions.
What does the attitude have to do with anything?
That's what a belief is, right? It's an attitude about the truth or falsity of a proposition.
But what does that have to do with, like, the reality, like the external reality that we're faced with?
What we're talking about knowledge. Knowledge is like a thing that happens in our minds.
We make claims about the external world that we have to be right about. That's why it's relevant.
Right. So when we talk about knowledge claims, typically we want that attitude to be somehow related to, the rest of our experiences, interacting with reality, or perhaps interacting with our internal experiences. If we're talking about, like, internal knowledge, things like this, we want that connection to be somehow reasonable. We want that there to be perhaps no obvious things that would conflict with that knowledge. There are specific features of that attitude that we want that must be present in order for us to call it knowledge. And you hold the exact same view I do. Your view just also requires certainty. Mine doesn't.
Yeah, because it makes sense. If you deny certainty, you have to use it to deny it. Otherwise,
where
it's
have
just
I done
a belief.
That? Where have I
don't
done
think
that?
you're understanding.
Where have I used certainty to deny certainty?
I'm not saying you've used certainty. I'm saying...
Wait, hold on. Yes, you did. You just said that in order to deny certainty, you have to use certainty. But you failed to actually show the self-defeating mechanism here. So go ahead.
Right, but you cut me off when I was about to say that what you were doing, when you said that you deny certainty, you're not doing it properly because you're using belief. And belief can't give you that. That's why I'm saying, but if you did it properly, it would be self-defeating, which is why it would have to be justified true belief. You're not following what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, either that's my fault that I'm not following what you're saying, or it's your fault because you're not adequately explaining it.
Well, I would love to adequately explain it.
Please, go ahead.
Well, I mean, do you want me to, like, give you...
Yeah, try again, because apparently either I didn't understand it or you didn't explain it well.
Yeah, so in order to know something, you have to actually know it, otherwise you just believe it. Knowledge.
By the way, that's like trivially true even on my view. In order to know something, you have to know it. That's true in my view as well.
Platitudes, right?
Well, you said it, not me.
I know, but, like, I'm just helping you out here.
By the way, can I show you something? Can I show you something that you might find interesting?
Well, if you don't want me to give the definition, sure.
I'm fine with it in a minute. But so this is the 2020 Phil Paper survey. So this is surveying philosophers, and one of the questions was, how do you view knowledge? This is an analysis of what knowledge is. Is it a justified true belief? Is it some other thing, or is there no analysis given? And less than a quarter of the philosophers surveyed here accept or lean towards justified true belief accounting for knowledge. Okay. So, like, you are in the minority here amongst philosophers.
That is an argument from authority. Why should I care about that?
Well, because philosophers probably know more about philosophy than you do. So I'm going to, at least take what they say seriously. Take what they say with a serious consideration.
Do you not think that philosophy changes as time goes on? Like,
yeah, it has. It used to be.
That's not a very good argument, though.
I'm not making an argument. I'm just suggesting to you that professional philosophers, even most professional philosophers, don't agree with you on this.
Well, it's fine. It doesn't matter. They can still change their views. What does that have to do with anything?
So look, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because surely you would agree that like professional philosophers are thoughtful people who, you know, examine their beliefs and their thoughts about these things kind of rigorously and carefully, right?
Dude, if I pulled up like a study that said like,
oh, look, like
80% of people are Christians, and I'm like, well, see, look at that. 80% of people are Christians, and you're not.
Would you consider philosophers? Would you consider philosophers?
Like,
I'm not arguing from majority here. I'm just what I'm doing is I'm arguing from expertise, which is not fallacious really, because I'm not saying that it's true because the majority believe this. What I'm saying is that, look, you and I are not philosophers. We're not professional philosophers, right? There are people who are professional philosophers who spend their days thinking about these things, who spend their days examining their beliefs, trying to figure out like what's the most rigorous and most justifiable position, et cetera, et cetera. And so it seems if what you were saying is so obviously true that you can convey it in like a 15-minute conversation online, that like obviously justified true belief is the only way to define knowledge. It's obviously true. Anything else is contradictory. If that were correct, then you'd think that more than 23% of professional philosophers would agree with you on this.
Yeah.
This is like some piece of evidence that like something about your reasoning is flawed.
Okay, great. What profession are those philosophers in? What do they specialize in? Are they do they specialize in metaphysics or epistemology? What are they?
So this survey is like this survey. This is a very, very large survey. We can go look at the actual demographics, but it's
people that are like.
But so one of the options were no analysis, meaning that they don't have an answer for it. But so the two there are basically two informed positions, namely you either lean towards or accept justified true belief, or you lean towards or accept some other position, and some other position was the plurality.
Okay, great.
And then there were people who didn't offer any, who said, yeah, I don't have any analysis. There was also an option for agnostic or undecided, which was about 7.5%. So these are people who are professionally in the know about this. So
yeah, they can know about it. But if we're going to be honest here, let's hear it from the people that actually study about knowledge, not someone that got a degree in gender studies, like the philosophy of gender studies.
So these are people who are published in philosophy journals. These are not like random people.
But like epistemology and the issue of justified true belief is particular. Like that's not a very good study.
We can the Phil papers. It's a survey. It's not a study. It's just a survey.
You know what I mean.
But we can probably go look at the demographics if you want.
It doesn't matter. I'm trying to show you that
it doesn't matter. Then why'd you ask it?
Because I'm showing that this little like thing that you're doing is kind of just sad. Like you're being like, well, look at these philosophers. Most philosophers don't actually hold that. I don't care.
It seems like that you're kind of like a little upset. So I don't know, maybe like don't be.
Well, no, more so because you're kind of just like wish-washing around. Like you're not really giving me anything. You're just being like, well, look at this. A lot of philosophers don't agree with you.
I gave you this. I brought this up because I brought this up because you should probably be like epistemically humble. And recognize that like you should be epistemically humble, right? You should realize that like your ability to come to conclusions is not necessarily the end all be all, and we should this is just generally good epistemic practice. If you're not an expert in a certain field, generally you should at least take seriously the view of experts in that field, right? That's generally good practice, right?
Of course.
So
but
so the fact that you're dismissing it so quickly it's a little bit problematic.
That's fine. I'm not saying that I dismiss what they've learned or what they're giving me at all. I'm saying that like the very thing that you're trying to do, being like, well, only 20% actually hold to this. Like, therefore, shouldn't you be a little bit more like, I don't care. That's not a good thing for you to like even say. What does that matter?
It matters because it gets you to, or at least it evaluates your degree of epistemic humility.
Okay, great.
Also, by the way, you did literally dismiss gender studies. So
what did that prove though? No, in the sense of like justifying epistemology. Yeah. Because they're not experts in epistemology.
I wasn't trying to prove anything. What I was trying to establish is that there are more well-informed, more well-read philosophers who disagree with both of us on this matter. There are well-read philosophers that disagree with me on this, who are not they think nominalism is bad. There are well-read philosophers who disagree with you on this. So it's clearly not as cut and dry as, oh, it's obvious that it's self-contradictory and self-defeating. Like it's clearly not that obvious. And so to suggest that it's just a simple thing, suggests that like all of these philosophers are just idiots, which is just kind of shitty.
Is it self-defeating to say that it's true there's no truth? Because I don't think I need a bunch of philosophy like background to actually know that.
Yeah, sure, that would be self-defeating. That would be self-defeating, but I don't think that you'd find fill papers that say otherwise.
Okay, but you just admitted to my point. Like, I don't need a bunch of like people being like, "Well, I actually don't believe in that." Okay, great, dude.
So when you look, when you find a whole bunch of experts that disagree with you on something, then you should definitely consider, well, what do they know that I don't know, and why don't they think that I'm right about this?
Yeah, but that's why we keep learning. Like you think I'm just like done learning? Of course I'm going to keep going. Like your point, this is like the weirdest conversation I've ever had. Because like, what even are you doing? I'm
trying to suggest. I'm trying to.
Or God?
Well, I mean, you haven't even touched Christianity, by the way. Like, tag never gets you to Christianity, so don't start there. But all I'm saying is that you're posturing that, oh, this is obvious, you're just giving platitudes, you know, your position is self-defeating. Like, it's obviously not self-defeating. It's obviously not just platitudes. This is like a serious view that serious philosophers consider.
Great, yeah, and they consider it, but they do it wrong. And they can say the same thing about.
Take it up with them. Go publish your paper. Go publish your paper then.
A bunch of people can say that about me. It doesn't matter what people think, as long as like we can agree on.
So then actually demonstrate that it's self-defeating, like with some sort of syllogism, rather than just kind of asserting, as you like to say, platitudes.
Do you need a syllogism for me to demonstrate that it's true that there is no truth?
If you want to make an argument. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, in principle, like if I was like, I'm not so sure, then a syllogism would help.
Sure, but I'm assuming that you have the IQ more than like a walnut. I don't have to like give you a syllogism.
Yeah, sure. Except so I'm happy to agree that some things are self-defeating. Like, obviously self-defeating things are self-defeating. But the thing that you're asserting is self-defeating, that knowledge does not have to be 100% certain. That's not clearly self-defeating, and you haven't demonstrated that it is.
Because you're still trying to like misunderstand the fact that you're using knowledge separately from belief when it is the exact same thing in your worldview.
That's a straw man. It's not the same thing that it's a belief.
I swear it's not a straw man.
I'm telling you that you are misrepresenting my view.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a philosopher?
No, I have a view. You're misrepresenting my view, right? You're not misrepresenting some philosopher's view. You're misrepresenting my view. That's what a straw man is.
Yeah, again, dude, I think you see the point I was making.
Look, if you're misrepresenting my view, and I say that you're doing a straw man, because my view is not that knowledge is identical to belief. My view is that knowledge is a specific kind of belief. Well, if you then say that according to your view, knowledge is identical to belief, then that's a straw man.
Yeah, a kind of belief that intertwines, like, it's true that there's this clock or whatever, like, or that you said that it's like 2 a.m. or whatever it is. That's great. But that doesn't actually answer the question, though.
Gettier cases are not part of my view on what knowledge is. They're just they're an what is it called? An undermining.
Do you hold to like a view of knowledge that's like definable in philosophy?
I'm a pluralist about knowledge. I think that you can have different types of. I think that you have knowledge in different ways and different applicable realms. So like if you're talking about like mathematical knowledge, then you would use axioms, and you would use certain relations, and you could come to theorems derivable from the axioms, right? If you talk about like personal, like interpersonal knowledge, then you would talk about like experiences with certain kinds of people and the way that they relate to your internal experiences and the way that they convey themselves. There's just different ways to approach knowledge in different settings. That's my view.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's denying that, dude. What I find is that I don't know if you're going like deep enough into the philosophy to actually because like you're giving me a very surface level. Like there's a bunch of different types of knowledge that we can utilize. Like no one's disagreeing with that.
If you think that my views are surface level, you just haven't thought a lot about pluralism or about nominalism.
Well, you talked about axioms used in mathematical knowledge. Do you think axioms are also used in philosophy?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Some kinds of philosophy, anyway. I would say analytic philosophy generally.
Well, that's fine, but like an axiom, because I know there's like a different type of axiom in math than there is philosophy, right?
Well, I mean, the way that it's used, if somebody's using axiom in a different way other than a synthetic truth that's assumed to be true, then I don't know what they mean.
Okay, good, because I hold to that as well. Do you hold to any axioms in your worldview, such as like I don't want you to have to like use an axiom to justify anything, but I would assume that's what you're gonna eventually do.
So my view is generally a coherentist kind of view, namely that I try to make sure that all of my beliefs are coherent with one another, and I try to make it so that they're as widespread and as kind of living in different realms of which we find knowledge as possible. Because that seems like, at least to me, it seems like that is the most effective way to rule out coherencies that are otherwise not true, whatever that means. Because we come to truth in different ways using different, in different realms of understanding or different regions of understanding. But look, I have a doctor's appointment in like 45 minutes that I have to go to soon, so I should probably end the live here. I would suggest that you look into why nobody takes presuppositionalism seriously outside of Christian scholarship.
I would urge you to look into the definition of knowledge.
I have, and the fact that you haven't, that you're not familiar with what like Gettier cases do, means that you probably haven't. Thanks for being here, ShowTube. That was a rough conversation for him. But I do have to go, so I have to end the live stream here. So I'm going to read some super chats real quick and read some other donations, and then I got to run. Because I'm getting my tube out. I have a tube in me, and I'm getting it out today. From Grimlock with the $20 for Missed the Announcement. Hydration is important. Indeed it is. All right, let's read some super chats really quick. Just making sure I didn't miss anything else. Oh, it looks like there might not be very many, which is good. From Joshua with the $5. Phil 101 gives poor thinkers so much unearned confidence. It's not even Phil 101, because a lot of this stuff is like, I feel like, yeah, maybe you have to go a little bit further than Phil 101. I didn't take any philosophy classes except one as an undergrad, except I did take a lot of mathematics, and mathematical logic is kind of very much required. I took like a course on proofs, etc., that kind of thing. So it's just that like tag is like nobody takes it seriously outside of Christians, right? From Sean Hawkins with the $5. Knowledge doesn't exist in all states. Have you been to Arkansas? Oh, true. True. No shade at Arkansas though. From James Pesh with the $5. Fallibilism is what we all adhere to if we don't appeal to faith. Yeah, right. Like we could be wrong about things, right? That's like a reasonable thing to be wrong, or a reasonable thing to believe. From Philo Dragon, hey bud, it's good to see you. With the $10, David Hume's problem of induction is not solved by Benson or Van Til, merely by asserting they solved it. So too, presuppers don't solve epistemic problems by merely asserting that they solved them. Yeah, that's the issue. From Discordant Rhymes with the $7, Philbros are powerless against people who remember what they said and heard from minute to minute, right? From James Pesh with the $2, so glad you didn't die. Hey, me too. From Bob the Monitor with the $5, when I'm in an insecurity competition and my opponent is a Dr. Blitz scholar. You guys are funny. You guys are genuinely funny. From James Pesh again with the $2, let's hear the syllogism. Belief is not knowledge. Well, I mean, I would say that knowledge is a kind of belief. It's a subset. From Joshua with the $2, yay, happy tubectomy. Yep, that's what's happening. I'm getting a tubectomy. I'm getting the tube removed. From Sydney Raptor with the 5 Aussie bucks, philosophy talks endlessly, science walks, and religion squawks. By the way, have you considered a cybernetic implant to fill the space? I should, but I don't think that they'll do that. And from somebody who asked me not to read it, thank you for the $5. Guys, I do have to end the live. I will be back. Actually, we will probably be on for the Unapologetic show this Sunday. I will see you guys, if not in some other person's live later, I'll see you guys then. Take care, everybody. What? And I'll be tube free. That's a good